He doesn't bring up the one thing everyone thinks of when the GameCube pops into their head, besides the fact that it's cube-shaped, and when you turn it on, it goes bum.
Sorry. I'm back. I had to use the washroom. Did I win, son? We're about to fight the last boss. The last boss? Sounded like Cobra. Last boss. Mr. Smith. Happy birthday, Mr. Smith.
Basically my post.
Is for those of you who are like that, like me. So let's.
Yeah, I think those are pictures of Kat, and that is crazy how fat she's gotten. And it's so crazy how DSP goes on stream and just basically just mocks and ridicules fat people when the person that
No, he's not. Oh, there's somebody out this way. I see a T1000. Oh, it's a pig.
Oh,
never mind. Oh, it's a wolf. That guy got sniped.
I think someone's watching us from somewhere, though. Hold on. I'm sure if we hang around a little longer... Dude, the sun's gonna set. Maybe there's some holes in your plan after all. It is?
This is gotta be it, right? Alright, I guess I got no choice now. Now I actually have to fight these kids. I don't remember why I don't want to. Alright, we're switching over to...
Why does it have to be like this? Why? 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 And then we have Mr. Pun with his stupid idea about using the fucking block. Mr. Pun with his stupid... People! You got so many fucking theories. Oh yeah, just use the block. You have to go by columns. You have to go by rows. You have to use a cane. You have to do this. You have to do that. You have to hug around it. You gotta do this. You gotta fucking go up and down. Go up and left and right. Go inside out. Go outside in. Go in there. Go in there. Go out.
Ladies and gentlemen, Garfield and friends.
We're ready to party.
We're ready.
I hope you bring lots of spaghetti.
I'm scared. Come on in, come to the place where fun never ends. Come on in, it's time to party with Garfield and friends. Dancing,
Fiesta,
romancing,
siesta,
samba,
la bamba, ay caramba, disguises,
disguises,
surprises.
fun never ends. Come on in, it's time to party with Garfield and friends. Come on in, it's time to party with Garfield and friends. Garfield and friends.
And pay attention. There'll be a test at the end.
Is it really a party when Arlo's involved? Well, hey there, everybody. Hello, and welcome. Howdy do and hullabaloo and all that good stuff, too. The promised morning stream, which is only late by like an hour or two, turning it into a technical daytime stream. Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome. Swollen double__ Dingus here with a daytime stream. The first of 2 streams today. Ah, yes, as we continue these experimental time slot situations. Big ups to the dinguses out there. The dingers, dongers, swollen double_ones, and expanded style individuals who are existing here in the now. Big ups. And big ups to the dinguses, the dingers, dongers, and swollen double_ones and expanded style individuals who may or may not be existing in the immediate and far-flung future, depending on whether or not they want their watch streak kept up and upheld. Like Makoto_Simp. The one and only Curb_Bot_. Alpha Elite TV. Eddie B43. Shroom Dukem. Call me double_Astro. And 1337. J Frosty. Algernaut. Rono. A_. Shybot. Flippy 4Man. And anybody else coming in. How can you guys say the day streams are a bad idea, Dingus? You're alienating the audience, Dingus. But like everyone who was here last night is pretty much here right now. This means it's not a bad idea, because you guys will show up no matter what time the stream starts. You get it? Alright. I gotta finish getting all the costumes in this dumb game. I gotta finish doing it in the regular levels, and then I gotta hit it up in the post game. I gotta munch on all the fruits and get all the costumes and do all the mazes. I will do this to the tune of catch-up, video catch-up, not ketchup, catch-up. So I have the watch list here for stuff that I need to watch. It says we did not watch this video yet, but I kind of want to verify that because I feel like we did go over this, but we may have just went over this. We may have just went over this in the realm of people asking me what my personal thoughts on it are, and we didn't actually watch him talk about it. I hate retreading old ground, so let me peek through my own archive here, because this feels like it would have been something we would have already seen. But we were doing a lot of catch-up with him last week, so it's possible we just didn't watch it. Oh yeah, I'm gonna say we didn't watch it. It's like we watched every video but the one we were supposed to watch. Alright, we actually didn't. Okay, fair enough. Hey Zerpatchy. I'm playing videos for one? What do you mean? What do you mean by that? You don't show up if it's just gameplay? And I'm doing great, Shybot. Thank you for asking. Alright, but yeah, I'm on the hunt for costumes, and we'll start the Arlo segment now. This one is entitled, Doug Bowser is leaving Nintendo. Don't worry, this is really old, ancient news, and he makes he reminds everyone of that at the beginning, because it is old news. It's ancient news. It's got dust on it.
Sorry, I'm a little late to this one. The
See, he's
news
late.
Dropped last week, and
He's
I've been
late.
just busy with life and family stuff and trying to finish up some projects. And I don't really go on social media, so like I usually rely on Kane. He'll like send me the big news stories, and this time this one kind of slipped through the cracks. So like,
some videos will not be
Arlo. A day
Arlo.
later, and I was just like, wait, what? Doug Bowser's retiring? What? Since when? And then it was the weekend. So yeah, I'm just now getting to it. But yeah, Doug Bowser has announced that he is stepping down from his role at Nintendo.
Thank you for the 35 stream streak, Zerpatchy.
or anything. He
To
just
uphold your
seems
streak?
to be
Wait.
retiring.
To uphold your streak, you have to suffer at least one Arlo stream a week. Oh, that's pretty tough. I can't imagine being a viewer of my own streams.
Just doesn't want to do it anymore. I don't know if he's gonna move on to some other position at some other company or what, but like, I don't know, the guy's 60.
Guy goes back to EA.
If I were a high-paid executive at a company, I'd do that for a couple years, save up, and then retire at 60 and never work another day in my life. I'd do that. I'd definitely do that. Yeah, he is retiring. He's going to be replaced by one Devin Pritchard. I really don't know too much about her. She has been around for a while. She's been with Nintendo for a while, and I don't know. She seems nice. So yeah, I'm sure she'll do a great job. And I don't always want to like make a habit of bringing up people who say bad things, you know, because like there's never not gonna be someone somewhere saying something bad or mean or stupid or whatever. So like, you know, like, so I don't always want to like bring it to every video.
Don't people hate Doug Bowser?
I do have to mention the way that I found out about this was seeing like recommended YouTube videos, and I saw
He saw the
several,
Nintending,
and they were all so nasty.
He saw the Nintending upload.
You know, like there's always going to be someone doing something that's disappointing that really does not represent your hobby, your community very well. And yet, you know, this was one of those times where it's just like, oh, we gotta do better than this. You know, all
He's
these
just calling out
thumbnails,
Nintending.
Basically, like delighting.
It's
that
like his
he's
rival.
gone, acting as though he was like part of the whole problem going on right now, as though he's like this greedy.
He was
overlord
Satan
guy,
incarnate.
suggesting
He
that
was an
because
EA
of all
executive.
of the Nintendo backlash going on, that's why he got fired. I saw literally like a couple thumbnails just
From who?
saying outright
From
that
who?
he's being fired, which is
From
just
who?
not true in the slightest. So yeah, I at least did want to mention it's really
He's calling
sad
out
to
Frittata.
see, because like this kind of like fanaticism, you know, like it's okay to be mad at Nintendo, it's okay to not like what they're doing, but this tendency that we have sometimes to yeah, get really obsessed and fanatical and really
Who the
nasty
fuck is
and
we?
kind of
The
like
you people?
gleefully hateful.
Gleefully
You know,
hateful.
like really just loving
Screw
hating
you, Nintending.
so much, and you know, like in a situation like this where people are really mad at Nintendo, like I again, be critical of Nintendo, that's fine, but the people making videos like this, like I promise.
But who are the people doing
if any
it?
of you are listening, the boogeyman Nintendo in your head, the like mustache twirling villain in your brain, does not represent reality. So yeah, that was just a little disappointing to see, because
Tinctronic speed.
Part of the problem too, and it's yet another thing that makes me feel a little bit gross about seeing that, is that like, I think Doug Bowser had some stuff going against him. Reggie was very popular. Reggie had all the memes. He was funny. He'd be in the
It was the
directs,
guy.
and he had all the memes. He had a bunch of them. We loved memes. He played into that really well. The thing is, that was never in his job description. That was not something that he needed to do. He did not need to be publicly facing at all. In fact, he chose to. And then when it worked out, he chose to do it
That's
more.
why people
a lot
liked
of
him.
like fun fan service and stuff. And so Doug Bowser comes in, and he doesn't really want to do that. We're expecting him, especially as his name is Bowser. Oh, like we expect that he's gonna like have his own whole thing.
Bowser's not even his favorite character.
And, he didn't. He clearly just wasn't really interested in doing that, and so maybe I'm.
Well,
digging
even if
too
he did
deep
do
into
that,
this,
people would just say,
but I
"Oh, he
feel
can't.
like
He can't replace
it's
Reggie."
Easier for people to hate him, kind of on an unconscious level, in a situation like this, because he didn't like deliver the goods. You know, he wasn't as well loved as Reggie because he didn't do as many memes or whatever. So it's way easier to like blame him and say he's a problem. And now it's great that he's getting fired or whatever. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I'm looking a little too deeply into it. But like, yeah, it was, you know, I'll admit, even for me, it was a little disappointing. I wanted to see him more. He seemed like a cool guy. I think anybody. I like
Wait,
seeing
you should
the
have
people
done
who work
Bowser
at Nintendo,
memes, even if you didn't
know,
really like
especially the
Bowser.
ones who are not like their job is not to like put on a show and entertain us. You know, I've always loved that when you get like the actual people who work at the company, even the executives and people like Bill Trinan. These people are clearly not like actors, the influencers hired to show off Nintendo stuff and engage with the audience. But they show up and they do their best, and there's just a real, I don't know, a real warmth to it. It's so it's just so genuine, and I really like that. So sure, I was looking forward to getting to know Doug Bowser, and I feel like we really didn't. We never really did get to know him. We really don't know much about him at all. But again, like, us knowing him was not in his job description. And in fact, anyone who wants to like point fingers to blame him for stuff or whatever, like 99.9% of the decisions come from Nintendo in Japan. Nintendo of America, their job for the most part is
to ruin
localization
games
and
ruin the
marketing.
translations.
Like they're not making these decisions. I mean, like, sure, there's some like collaboration going on, you know, like, oh, Reggie got on Miyamoto's case to make Wii Sports free ad. Like, okay, sure, like they have some
like a zillion years ago.
But like
Reggie
for
had
the
more
most
pull.
part, this is all coming from Japanese Nintendo corporate, and the people working at NOA, like, they're not responsible for most of this. They're just they're showing up to work and they're doing their job.
If Doug Bowser was a memester, people would just say, oh, you're great value, Reggie, you can't replace Reggie.
And all of that stuff. So yeah, it's especially silly to say that Doug Bowser has been to blame for any of what's been going on. And even if we haven't really gotten to know him, he hasn't like leaned into the whole memes thing. I have talked to a few people who have worked with him directly, and they have only the best things to say about him. You know, like, we don't know anything because he didn't meme at us. But these people who, again, just like show up to the 9 to 5, you know, just show up to do the work that Nintendo lays out for them, the people who interacted with him on a daily basis, like, seriously, I mean, it's not like a ton. I don't have like a bunch of like insider info, but like I've heard little bits. And from the little bits that I've heard, it seems like he was just a really great guy. A really great guy to work with at Nintendo, and overall did a really good job.
Hey, Scrumbles.
And I do find it sad that he doesn't get the same send-off that Reggie did. You know, it's not just
Reggie was
about
with the
memes,
company
but also
longer and
the
was a
whole
memester.
Situation.
That
the whole
generally likable
discourse and everything.
personality.
I think it is gross that I had
Gross.
to learn about it. I had to hear the news because of yucky videos of people being yucky.
I'm doing great, Scrumbles. Thank you for asking.
So yeah, he doesn't exactly
Still a little bit,
you know, when the
I wouldn't say sick,
company's
but
on a
my
high note
throat
or
is still a
whatever,
little
and I think
sore.
that's a shame. 'Cause
Sorry
he
if I'm a little quiet.
He does seem like a really nice guy. He wasn't with the company very long. Reggie left in 2019. So yeah, he's only been there 6 years, which is a little bit surprising. You know, 6 years isn't a really long time. I do have to wonder if like, is he really just retiring, or like maybe just, I don't know. I don't want to speculate. I don't want to step out of line.
Those are the worst parts of being sick, TBH. Tell me about it.
This isn't
I'm
fun
not coughing
anymore,
or anything. It's
you
just
know? Because the whole
I don't know what
Nintendo
it could be.
situation is just kind of gross now.
The
is it
Nintendo
like,
situation
I mean, like,
just kind of
yeah,
gross.
Like if I was working at Nintendo and now suddenly like we're all getting all this hate and this backlash and everything, there's like it's kind of lost.
We're
the
getting
spark.
hate
You know,
for the
I
Doug
wouldn't-
Bowser
I wouldn't
thing.
Be surprised. I wouldn't blame a person for looking at all that and being like, all right, yeah, I'm gonna go do something else with my time. But yeah,
Got a
no
case
real
of
point
the
in
throat goat?
speculating. He's
Yeah.
really not giving any info or anything. Just he was with the company. And now
Why is
he's
there
like,
gameplay
you know,
of the Mario and
in his
Luigi
real
Bowser's Inside Story
quiet
remake in the
manner.
as B-roll?
And yeah, and again, Devin Pritchard seems fine. Yeah, I don't know. Is she gonna do some memes at us? Is she gonna?
Just kidding.
Like,
I knew it was
in
gonna be a girl.
presentations or whatever. She doesn't have the same in. That's the thing, and that's one reason like we expected more. I think from Doug Bowser. He had the name. Oh, he got an in. Reggie, big shoes to fill.
That was the only reason they promoted him, and he didn't even want to be a memester about it.
The whole like funny thing.
It's well enough
Bowser,
though. At least he didn't force it.
It's funny. And then that was it. That was really just kind of. So I don't know. She doesn't have the same in.
I mean, she said she was a
Work
fan of
hard.
Metroid.
She's got. She needs a hook.
That could
you
mean
know?
anything,
She wants
though.
to
Which Metroid?
Meme at us a bunch.
The shitty one?
I'm fine if she doesn't. Devin Pritchard, if you don't have to. You don't have to do the silly internet things if you don't want to. I'm perfectly fine either way, just so you know. But whatever Doug Bowser ends up doing, I do wish him luck, and I thank him for his years of service.
Give him the old Vince McMahon send-off.
I hope, just like
I wish you $1
personally,
million.
my hope is that he just does nothing. Go sit on a pool side, like a pool chair, or like go backpacking out in the wilderness for like a year. Just don't work anymore. If you've got the money, this is my advice, Doug Bowser. Just go, man. Just don't. Find a tree to sit next to somewhere and just sit there. You can bring a book if you want, but like, why? If I'm ever a powerful executive at a multi-billion-dollar company and I get to retire at 60, that's what I'm gonna do.
All right, well, there you go. His thoughts on Doug Bowser leaving. He wanted Doug Bowser to meme more, even though Doug Bowser didn't want to meme. He just wanted to be a faceless company exec. I guess people expected Doug Bowser to be a memester because Reggie was a memester, but I feel like if Doug Bowser was a memester, people would just call him a discount Reggie, and it wouldn't be too kind to him being a memester. It's like, oh, you're just trying to be a memester because Reggie was a memester. So rather than try to be a great value Reggie, he just decided to do his own thing. I feel like he didn't even like Bowser as a character. It was just kind of a coincidence that he had Bowser's name. But I also feel like that's the reason they promoted him in the first place, thus giving fans the perception that maybe he would be a funny-go-lucky, happy-go-lucky memester like Reggie, but then that didn't turn out to be the case. He just wanted to lead the company from the shadows. So it goes, so it goes. Will Nintendo improve immediately following the termination, i.e. retirement, of Doug Bowser Fils-Aimé? No. It would be very funny, in my opinion, if the second this guy retires and we get the lady in charge, the games become $60 again. It'd be like, it literally was him by hook or by crook. It was literally just him making the games be so expensive. Would Arlo sweep for him still then? Probably. Alright, this is the longest level in the game. Just due to these maze segments. So I will do my best to persist. Okay, that's the first video. I got some Synthetic Man here as well. The Silent Hill video. The Borderlands video. Sorry, I'm looking out. I'm deciding what do I want to put on next. We got a lot here. We got a lot. Oh, actually, yeah. Oh, because this goes right into the game industry stuff. Xbox is killing their golden goose.
Xbox has announced that it is dramatically raising the price of Game Pass Ultimate. And this is coming despite the fact that as recently as a few months ago, just a few months ago, they were bragging about how it's
you notice the change of tone and cadence whenever he starts talking about Microsoft
is really profitable. It's why the Xbox brand has been surviving. It's working out really well for them, despite us all being like, how can it? You're giving away so many games. The whole entire model, obviously there are problems with it, especially from the developer and publisher perspective and all that stuff. It is weird. The whole subscription service thing is weird in its own way, but at least for Xbox, they insist that it is profitable. So recently, they said, yep, it still makes like $5 billion in revenue every year. And despite that, they are raising the price of Ultimate, Game Pass Ultimate,
$30 a
50%.
month.
It's 30 bucks now. 30 bucks a month. And they're not just raising the price, they're also kind of shuffling around their like they've always had multiple tiers, but now they've got even more
Yeah,
tiers.
Microsoft was saying
really
our
do
shit's
think
not being
this
pulled
always
off of
speaks
store shelves.
to,
So Phil
a
was
very
spreading
serious lack of
misinformation
confidence
yesterday. What a shock.
and overall success whenever a company has to just like constantly be reinventing their services. It really kind of reveals that they don't really know what they're doing. And the most recent thing they've done is now Game Pass is split into 3 different tiers. I mean,
It wasn't
well, 4
already
if
3
you count
different
on
tiers?
PC, but at least on console now, instead of 2 tiers, there are now 3 different tiers, which now have different names. Originally, you had Xbox Game Pass Core, but now it's called Essential.
Game Pass
and that gets
Boar.
you 50 plus games and you know, like online play and stuff. And that's $10 a month. So that price hasn't changed. And then there is Game Pass Premium, which has 200 plus games, and that is $15 a month. But then Game Pass Ultimate, the previous most popular choice, 400 plus games, is now $30 a month. And but they are adding Ubisoft Plus Classics and
Oh man, all those
Crew.
amazing
So
Ubisoft
2 other
games.
subscription services.
That's worth 30 bucks a month,
You would have
guys.
to pay for separately. They're now bundled right in, and that's what's funny is
Why can't he shit on NSO the way
try
he
to
shits on
justify
Game
these
Pass,
things, You
guys?
know, like who is it? Dustin Blackwell. You know, he did an interview with The Verge or something, and says they're adding value to the service. It's like, oh, but if you get those 2 other things by themselves, those are like 30 bucks a month. So that's why it's a good deal. I mean, like, he's not. I suppose he's not wrong. If you want to be signed up to both of those other services, then yeah, this is a fine deal. The problem is, you know, if you don't play Fortnite, then now it's just not a good deal at all. And then like Ubisoft Plus Classics, really? Like, say what you will about Ubisoft, you know, they're plenty scummy, but like, they know the value of a good sale, and their old games go on sale for just peanuts all the time. There is no value in I don't know who would possibly pay for a classic Ubisoft game subscription service. They're all like $5, whatever. So those are the new tiers and prices, and yeah, it is frustrating, again, despite Game Pass already being very, very valuable. And then like, you know, okay, things are hard right now. Prices are going up across the board. They also raised their console prices twice already in response to the tariffs. And like when it comes to like
the
hardware,
tariff
all right,
thing,
tariffs, sure. You want to argue that? Whatever. I know it's a broader conversation. It's more complex than that. But like whatever. Even if I want to just give you that, you can't argue that here. There's no. It's not. It doesn't. That doesn't work here. There's no tariffs on digital subscription services. You know, obviously this is just way too.
Yeah, but we
big
can't
of a
make the
thing to
digital
go
shit
do, but I just
discounted,
have
or
no
then
idea.
everyone would just buy
but
the digital version.
inflation and all this. We got to keep our yeah. See, but that's the thing though. It's affecting you. It's affecting us too, man. You think things aren't hard for us? I'm sorry, you multi-billion-dollar corporation not making quite as much money because of inflation. Yeah, how do you think that affects us anyway? It used to be a lot easier to talk about video games without just like the horrors of the world seeping into the conversation. I just kind of okay. So people are not
trying not
taking
to
the news
pull it a
very
spurt
well.
here.
Naturally, apparently the Game Pass website crashed at some point because so many people were going on and trying to cancel their subscriptions. So that's kind of funny. I think the overall consensus seems to be that $30 for Game Pass Ultimate is simply too much. Even GameStop seems to agree. They said that they're still going to be selling Game Pass Ultimate for $20 for like the next month or something.
Are they allowed to do that?
How nice.
They just fuck
Now,
you,
here's
we're
the thing.
ignoring your price
I wanna
hike.
be completely fair here.
It's
You know,
probably
on
until the
surface,
existing
especially,
prepaid cards
if
run out
you,
of stock.
If you don't have an Xbox, you don't subscribe to any of this
A
stuff.
little asterisk.
Then yeah, like you see, like, oh, it's going up by 50%, and that's crazy, and like that's terrible. You know,
Intern
I
who runs the GameStop Twitter was like A-logging the fuck out of Game Pass past couple of days.
To offer a lot of different tiers with a lot of, you know, different value in each. And basically what they're doing here is it's true, they have technically added value to their highest tier. So they've increased the price there, but they've also added some value to the other tiers, and you can basically pick which one you want. If you want Ultimate, it truly is Ultimate. It comes with absolutely everything, and so naturally that is the absolute most expensive one there. And it is hard that they keep raising the price because and this isn't like the first time they've raised the price.
No.
That's the thing. This isn't in a vacuum here. This isn't just them raising the price by 50%. This is them raising the price for like the millionth time. They just don't stop raising the price really regularly too. It's not like,
I got a sore and
once
swollen
every
throat.
4 or 5
I'm letting
years
Arlo
we
do the
have to
talking for me
reconsider the
today.
economic situation. Like no, like it keeps going up and up and up over and over and over again. And again, on top of raising the price of consoles and everything too. However, again, if you want to be fair,
Thank you,
could argue they have
Curbot,
also
for the follow.
increased
I
the
wonder
number
who
of
that
games
is.
on the service pretty dramatically since they introduced it. Like they really have. Like over the years, they have just kind of added. I mean, obviously some games leave too, but for the most part, they have added games. The number of total games on the service has only grown over the years. So you could argue that, yeah, that is adding value to the service, and maybe it sort of makes sense to start charging more for the upper tiers, yada. So like, yeah.
Yeah, it's a fellow
on
bot.
paper, it makes sense. And I
Jeez, a
guess
Kirby
I
themed
understand
bot. I
where
wonder who that
Xbox
could
is
be.
coming from. And on that note, even if you can say that Ultimate is now too much, the middle tier, Premium, that's still a pretty good deal. That's $15 and still has multiple hundreds of games on it. So you can probably still do pretty good with just the Premium tier. Ultimate is the one that got increased the most. But
Hey,
like,
Arrow,
I don't
thank you
know,
for the 5 stream streak.
$15 is still okay. Like that's still fun.
Converted
That's
from a
less than,
sang
like,
weenie to
stupid
a dinger,
Netflix
dinguses,
membership. You wanna
dingai,
talk
the
about something that
dongers.
just won't stop raising
Any
the
of those are
stupid price. They
applicable.
need to cancel that stupid.
Welcome in.
But even if it
Welcome to the
sort
Sore
of
Throat Day
makes
Stream.
sense, the problem here is that Microsoft is not seeing why Game Pass has been working so well. It's not really connecting in their heads why it has been
Oh yeah, all my bot
so
viewers.
profitable. Game Pass's
True.
whole thing has been it's the best
Really
value
appealing
in
to the
game.
bot demographic
that's
here.
been its thing the entire time since the beginning. They introduced it in 2017. It's the best value in
Have I slept
gaming.
well?
Everyone was
Not really.
baffled that it was such a good deal. They really were, and that was so strange. Coming from the game industry, they just get greedier and greedier all the time. Coming from Microsoft, it's Microsoft, but for some reason they're offering this like really surprisingly good deal. And the whole idea is that it was such a good deal. It's something that people could just kind of subscribe to, like just kind of be subscribed to, all the time.
A set it and forget it style
if you
subscription.
play games really regularly, then yeah, you just have it every month and you just
Turn
play
on
whatever
auto
games
renew.
are on. There's plenty to choose from. When I first got my Series X, I had Game Pass for a little while because it's just like there's so many games. The games on my 2 playlists, it's huge. It really is a ton. It's a lot of really good games too. It's not just a bunch of like throwaway junk. It's a pretty decent curated library. I was never at the point where I could just casually have it on all the time because I just don't play enough games and I'm very cheap. But
He's
that's
cheap.
the idea. A lot of people were
I
just
don't know, there's just
subscribed
not
all
enough
the time,
hours in a day.
and that's why it's made.
That's my thoughts on the notion. You pay what, $30 a month for all these fucking games, but you don't have enough time. You still don't have enough time, hours in a day, to play all the games you want to play. It's either that or all the games you get with Game Pass are games you don't give a fuck about anyway. The games you actually want to play aren't available through Game Pass, so like the service doesn't really benefit you. Because it's not like you can pick and choose what games you can play. It's always what's available at the time.
Made so much revenue, but if you push
Paying for the premium
too
service
hard,
doesn't give you more time to play
you
the games in
throw off
question.
that balance, like
If anything, it makes your backlog
they're
that much
basically
worse because now you
killing
got
their
access to
golden
even
goose
more
here.
games.
you know what I mean? It's not. You push it too far and it just stops working. These kinds of services, it's a psychological game more than anything. I don't know if that's weird to say, but like it really is. You have to maintain this equilibrium, this balance with the customer where they feel like it's a good enough deal to just do it. Like, just whatever. You don't have to worry about buying games or subscribing and unsubscribing. No, just, you gotta lull us into a place of comfort where we can just incur that monthly charge and be fine with it. You throw off the balance, you get enough people to just stop seeing the value in it, and especially with all of the economic pressures and everything, you're gonna start seeing a lot of people unsubscribing. $30 is not a casual expense anymore. It's just not, 10, 15, fine. 20, ooh, you're kind of pushing it, but like
maybe
30,
if you're a brokey.
This is too much. That's not casual. That's, all subscription services are becoming like too much. And of course there are too many of them, but like that's a lot. That's not casual.
That's my big problem with it. There's too many fucking services.
You could still argue that if you are very strategic about it, you could still get good value out of it. Absolutely, because that is a tremendous amount of games. I mean, $30 is
yeah, but I don't care about any of them.
It's like
I don't care about Doom the Dark Ages.
Indie games.
I don't care about Fallout 4. Fallout fans don't even care about Fallout 4.
But the problem is that now to get that value, you gotta try. You gotta really be on it and make sure that you're getting the most out of your subscription. And
Square.
Premium, again, is probably still a decent deal, but for a lot of people, the whole point of this, or at least a really big selling point, has been playing new games. Brand new games on day one.
That was the thing they had over PS Plus, was the day one games.
You can play them on Game Pass, and you don't get that with Premium. You get them within a year or something. Okay, fine, you get them eventually, but a lot of people want to play day one. And you can still strategically use Game Pass Ultimate to play them day one if you want to subscribe and unsubscribe. Oh, well, this game that I care about
subscriptions, get them
out.
custom emotes and shit.
30, and as long as I play the game within the month, which it's sort of reasonable, you could, I pay to play the game within that month, and then I cancel it. But okay, then you're on a time limit. You got to pay it within that. You got to play the entire thing within that month, and then you got to make sure you unsubscribe before you get
then you're pressured to feel like you got to rush through the game before your subscription runs out.
It's asking too much now. People don't want to be managing their experience like this. Again, the casual nature of it has gone out the window. And then, even if you are being really you're really on it, $30 is almost half the price of a brand new game,
Yeah, at that point, just buy the game.
But you're paying so much to rent it that you're like, well, I might as well just wait a while.
Or wait for a sale.
It'll be on sale, and I can get it for not much more than that. That's so much of the price of a game that now you're just seeing that money get flushed down the toilet. And we know they're gonna raise the price again. We know they're just gonna raise it again. They're just gonna keep raising it over and over and over again. It's just so even if you can argue that something in here is still an okay deal, it gets less good all the time.
It's okay when Nintendo does it, says Arlo, because GameCube games
to just casually do it. They are basically just destroying this beautiful opportunity they had, this beautiful reputation. When is any product or service seen as just a great deal? The best deal? It's mind-blowing, and it's a golden goose, and they're killing it. They're killing it to have a good meal right now. They're not seeing the big picture, but big corporation chasing short-term profits at the expense of long-term.
If I never hear about Blueprints again, it'll be too soon.
What? Why would they do that? No one's ever done that before anyway. Hard to even joke about it at this point. So yeah, and while we're talking about it, I guess I've commented on Ultimate and Premium. Might as well look at the Essential. $10 a month is very cheap, and it does pay for multiplayer as well. 50
Did it better?
plus games.
The lowest tier. Imagine no multiplayer.
You could argue, okay, well maybe that's cheap enough to just have on all the time. $10, but the smaller the pool of games, the less likely you are to find a bunch that you want to play. Like out of 50 games, now it's few enough games that you can just kind of like scroll through the list and be like, nah, none of that's for me.
Just my coffee.
It's not such an overwhelming amount.
It's becoming colder by the second.
In theory, $10 a month is cheap enough to just pay for casually all the time, but not for 50 games. There's not. Yeah, again, it's an equilibrium thing. They're throwing it off. But yeah, that's that. Xbox. What are you gonna do?
Wow, where's this energy for Nintendo, Arlo? Alright, I was just looking for the bronze. 7 seconds from silver, but it's fine. Gotta do that again and get all the crates and the fruit.
Hello, Expand Dog. How you doing, dude?
I'm doing great, Oyo. Thank you for asking. And thank you for being the first person here. Flippy 4Man. Alright, continuing from that one. Is Xbox finally throwing in the towel? Question mark? How was that a Ouija moment?
Xbox, the little video game console manufacturer / publisher that could. In their 20-something years of making and selling consoles, they have struggled an awful lot. They really have. They've tried really hard to compete directly with Nintendo and Sony.
It's been tough. It has.
And Nintendo basically removed themselves from that competition. They just kind of went to another race. So that left just Xbox and Sony.
Can it be argued that anytime Xbox did quote-unquote good, it was because the competition shot themselves in the foot? So, the big example would probably be 360 versus PS3. 360 dominated on the PS3 early on. Then the PS3 recovered once the 360 itself started focusing on Kinect and shit, and the PS3 finally started getting games. Perhaps people might have forgotten, but early on in that generation, the 360 was unquestionably winning. And then they threw the lead. I don't know why.
And they have not done well against Sony. They've really not done very
Nintendo
well.
is their own market. That's kind of that's Nintendo's soy boy cope.
Game Pass
They're
has
not
been
competing.
Pretty profitable, though Xbox
So they
is
say that just to justify the underpowered handhelds.
To get people to unsubscribe from that. So we'll see how that shakes out. You know, other little the Kinect that did pretty good. That helped Xbox 360 sales pretty much like exclusively, just because enough people wanted to play Dance Central on the Kinect. It's pretty good. Overall, though, it's been a struggle. They've struggled to sell video game consoles, and they've not been doing very well this generation either. Sales are not good compared to...
Really? You think it's also non-Nintendo fans coping that the Switch outsold the others? Maybe I haven't been in enough non-Nintendo gamer circles to see that discussion. I've been in enough Nintendo circles to see that discussion. I mean, Phil agrees. Phil also agrees that, like, it doesn't, like, that shit where they all... When Phil says it, it's from the perspective of that, like, that's what Nintendo fans are saying. Oh, Nintendo, oh, we're not part of those other guys, but like, you are. You're a video game manufacturer. Look, the broken clock is sometimes correct.
To PlayStation sales, you know, as usual. They put out an Xbox-branded ROG Ally 2, but the thing is like $1,000, so I don't know who's gonna buy that. And it really is just a handheld gaming PC. There's very little about it that is like actually Xbox.
That I'll agree with. The non-Nintendo gamers, they don't see Nintendo as their own thing when they're doing bad. Oh wow, look at the Wii U failing. Haha, the Wii U is such a failure compared to the Wii. Then the Switch starts selling gangbusters. Now the notion becomes, oh wow, it doesn't count because it's a handheld and a baby toy and it's a Fisher-Price tablet.
We're going to do a dedicated Xbox handheld, which is really interesting because that's been an idea forever. Just forever. We've always wanted, because, you know, Nintendo did it and Sony did it. Is Xbox going to do it? And then after all these years, they were finally going to do it, and then they basically canceled it. I mean, I guess canceled is a strong word. They shelved the idea, so they're not doing it right now, at least.
Now.
Never say never, but they're not doing it right now. And actually, recently, there's been a rumor going around.
Yeah, multi-platform makes more money. The problem is that Xbox, I said this last night, I don't believe Xbox, because we were talking about the Walmart and Target allegedly taking Xbox stuff down the shelves. If there's not going to be another Xbox console ever again, I think it would be because Xbox no longer has the pull with the IPs and franchises that they own. In my opinion, including the Bethesda shit, there's not going to be an IP. There's not a single IP that they own nowadays. Even if these IPs, so some of these IPs were good back in the day, like Halo and shit, at its prime, at peak Halo prime, Halo would absolutely be an IP that would make you want to buy an Xbox. But there's not a single IP that they own the rights to now, including Bethesda stuff, that would make you drop everything and get an Xbox if they announced it to be an Xbox exclusive. Elder Scrolls 6, Xbox exclusive. You would not buy an Xbox just for Elder Scrolls 6, and I maintain that opinion. You would just wait for it to be inevitably ported to PC. They would be shitting themselves in the foot massively if they don't put that on PC. And the thing is with Microsoft too, is that of course they would put it on PC. Like it's Windows. That's their ecosystem. It doesn't benefit them at all in any situation to make something Xbox only. They own the PC ecosystem pretty much. They see a benefit either way, unless you're on Linux or Mac. But if you're gaming on Linux or Mac, you may as well just count yourself out of the discussion to begin with. Hi, UNF. But yes, Xbox stands to improve bigly from going multi-plat with their Game Pass strategy, but then you want to raise the money on Game Pass, kind of shooting yourself in the foot again. Like, people won't buy an Xbox just to play Halo and Gears of War, but they probably will buy into the Xbox ecosystem with the power of Game Pass if they know they can get all these Xbox games day one, in addition to other multi-plat games day one that might not be day one on PlayStation, or maybe games that might be on Game Pass but aren't on PS Plus, etc., etc., etc. It probably won't move them to buy an Xbox just for the service, but they might get it on PC, or God forbid, on cloud. Oh, they showed that this is an Xbox ad. That was the route they were going to go exactly.
That it's because it was.
Call of Duty will never be exclusive, those scrumbles. Maybe Call of Duty, Xbox exclusive Call of Duty. They would never do that, though. I would say Call of Duty would have a better pull, a stronger pull than like the next Fallout or Elder Scrolls being exclusive. I think, but it would also stand to piss off more normies. I think Call of Duty on console sells more on PlayStation anyway. It wouldn't be a smart financial business decision. If they were really gonna commit to that, they would have announced that on Fight with the Activision acquisition.
It's going to have a dedicated chip from AMD.
Because they know it sells better on PlayStation.
They wouldn't do it. They would not take the deal unless they could dedicate to manufacturing 10 million units. They would not make that chip unless they could make 10 million of them. And yeah, that's...
And right, so exclusives aren't anything for Microsoft anymore, so focusing on the multi-plat route is the way to go. That makes PlayStation, by process of elimination, the better console to buy, because they have more exclusives, and they sometimes get the better versions of multi-plat games, and sometimes they get multi-plat games that don't come to Xbox at all, and the multi-platform games that they do get run better than the only other console that gets them, like the Switch. So if a game only comes out on PlayStation or Switch multi-platform and not on Xbox, you win by going the PlayStation route, because your version will be better than the Switch version. So like, just by process of elimination, the PlayStation is the better box to get. You get a higher ratio of multi-platform games. There are multi-platform games that just straight up don't go to the Xbox ecosystem, and then you get exclusives on top of that.
Xbox is not going to sell 10 million units of that little thing. Even, I mean, like the Steam Deck is pretty much like the handheld gaming PC. And that's sold like 4 million or something. Whatever the case, though, they're not doing that anymore. And And so this idea that they're going to exit the console market has been around for a pretty long time. I mean, pretty much since like last generation, when the Xbox One really struggled. That was when it was like, all right, I don't know if they're going to keep doing.
Talk about wasting a lead from the previous generation, right?
They've
correct.
Trekking on, chugging up that hill. But now there's a rumor going around.
Only purchase the Switch and upgrade the PC.
Going to keep...
That's always been like the golden combo. Switch for your Nintendo exclusives. Nintendo will always live and die by their exclusives. Unlike Xbox, which nobody gives a fuck about their exclusives, period, and PlayStation, which can persist through their exclusives. But ultimately, I feel like people buy PlayStation for the multi-plat. Like, the normies will buy a PlayStation for Grand Theft Auto and Call of Duty and FIFA. They don't buy a PlayStation for God of War. You know what I'm saying? And if you want validation on that schizophrenia, just look at the sales numbers. I know we don't get sales numbers for the U.S. Often because they're not required to disclose them. But if you look at sales numbers for Europe, the top of the charts is always FIFA, Grand Theft Auto, Call of Duty. Like it's never Sony exclusive first-party titles.
Keep a little engine that could ing up that hill any longer. Yeah, I don't know. It's just I don't even know if there's like one. I can't find exactly one source of the rumor, but there have been some suggestions floating around that they are not going to make new consoles. 2027 is the 7-year mark of this console generation, at least between Xbox and Sony.
7 years.
So that's when we are expected to see new consoles. I don't know why 7 is just kind of arbitrarily now the new magic number. I feel like it used to kind of depend on things, like the situation and
fucking generation barely started. The fuck you mean?
But even this generation ended up feeling like not very necessary. So now, like the idea of getting new consoles in 2 years, when the existence of these consoles has
so understated,
barely been justified. Barely. This is obviously.
It's like the Joe Biden generation of consoles.
Console generation.
It feels like we barely had consoles for a generation.
I don't know. I guess they just decided it's going to be 7 years now, and it doesn't even matter.
Does that make sense? Is that too political of a reference?
We're just going to do it every 7 years, period, because that's something to sell. And people buy the things that we sell, especially Sony. They've barely given any reasons to actually own a PS5, and yet the PS5 is still selling just fine. So, okay, sure, 7 years, new console. So 2027 is when we're expected to see new ones. But the rumor is that Xbox just isn't gonna.
This is being political.
They're just gonna just pull out completely and not do it anymore. And I hate to shoot this one down so quickly. I know we just started this conversation. I just got to the meat of it. I just got to the rumor part. I had all the preamble, and I just got to the Xbox is going third party. Those big red words, going third party. No one ever does it, but it's always on the table, and we always wonder if it's gonna happen. But in light of these rumors, Microsoft has come out and basically just said, no, it's not true. We're still on track to release new consoles
for the inevitable
consoles or whatever, with even more ridiculous and bad names in 2027.
Really, the only reason they're allowed to get away with this is again because it's Microsoft. They can face tank any amount of console failures and just keep it up. Precisely because they are Microsoft. Even Sony, I don't think Sony would be able to face tank like what two or like if we had another generation that was as bad as the PS3 start, but maybe had like 2 of those generations in a row and there was no recovery, like Sony would probably be in trouble, you guys.
Obviously, as we're always talking about, everything they do is always just.
And I think I've saw some data, like official data. From people that crunch the numbers, a Nintendo could survive like 4 or 5 Wii U level disasters before they started really getting in trouble.
So like wishy-washy, and they clearly really don't know what they're doing. Things get announced and canceled and changed and moved around all the time. So like it's still technically possible that we won't get new consoles from them in 2027. It still could happen. They're saying it now. Maybe they mean it now, but at least right now, that is the plan. We're going to get a new generation of Xbox hardware in 2027. Well, even if it turns out that this rumor is not true, I still
Is that
wanted to talk about
true?
it because the response to it is so interesting.
The response is
really
Sofa Xbox?
telling of the whole
Hey, Eternal
Xbox
Mike.
situation.
Like, yeah, we already remastered Halo. Now we're gonna remake it.
That
They're gonna make
the
it woke.
rumor comes around that they're going third party, they're giving up completely, they're just stepping out of the hardware business, and the overwhelming response, at least from, I mean, obviously not like everybody, but at least like me and
They're gonna make it woken on Unreal Engine 5.
Yeah,
Ah!
that makes sense. Like it's not
No, this is not the Game Pass video. This is Xbox is going third party. It's a different video. I know it. It feels like the same video. It's a different video. I swear. I swear it's not the same video.
surprising. If Sony or Nintendo suddenly decided they weren't going to sell hardware anymore, they were going third party, they're pulling a Sega, it would be like, whoa. That would like,
whoa, buddy.
That would shake the foundations of the game industry. I think even back when Nintendo wasn't doing well, like before the Switch, when the Wii U was really struggling.
When the Wii U was really struggling and bastards were making photoshops of Super Mario 3D World for the PS4, like a console bundle. Then you fast forward and now Sony's putting some of their games on Switch. Wah!
It was like the worst place Nintendo has ever been.
Yeah, dude, DSP
And
loved that image.
That
he used it for Hate Live.
Conversation was on the table. Like everybody was talking about it. Is Nintendo gonna go third party? And it would have made a lot of
Bill
sense.
was
but
talking
even
about it.
then, it would have been crazy. Even if it was something that like you could have argued would have made sense if their consoles kept, or like, you know, theoretically, let's say if the Switch, hypothetically, whatever, if the Switch failed as well, it was just another Wii U and they went third party, it still would have been just such a big thing, just such a big shock. But it feels like Xbox has been struggling for so long, they've been on life support for so long, that if anything, each new hardware generation, or even each new product, each piece of hardware itself, just feels surprising. It just feels more and more surprising, but especially now, because they themselves are de-emphasizing the hardware. That's what's been so baffling about all this. Game Pass itself is like, Game Pass can be played on anything, basically, and like,
This
okay,
is
yeah,
an Xbox
Studios, they're still putting out stuff, but like, they've been putting more and more and more Xbox games on PlayStation and Nintendo, and you know, they own Call of Duty now, but like they got scared by the courts. They can't make Call of Duty exclusive, so they're putting that on everything, and so it's just like, why do you even have the stupid box anymore?
It would be dumb of them to make it exclusive anyway.
If Game Pass is the only
It's not going to
thing
convince people to buy an
making
Xbox. It's just going to piss them off.
Xbox profitable at all, if the hardware is not doing well. I mean, come on, the whole ad campaign, this is an Xbox, this is an Xbox.
Nah, I hate
Why are
cloud
you even
gaming too,
selling the
Eternal
hardware?
Mike.
So more than ever.
I'm fucking pissed that PS3 games are still cloud streaming only on PS5. What the fuck, Sony? Fuck you. Fuck your cell architecture. I pay for PS Plus. I want to download PS3 games. Why is it the only system you guys make or have made in your illustrious history available on PS Plus that I can't download the games from? I can download PS1 games, PS2, PSP, PS4, PS5. Why can't I download PS3 games? What's the excuse?
The idea of them going third party would just make us all like shrug and just be, yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, I think I saw this coming. You know, it makes sense. I think we've all been anticipating this. Writing's been on the wall for a while, and I just find that.
Yeah, there was a rumor about that Game Pass with ads. Gross. And it won't even be like the highest tier of Game Pass. It's probably that basic bitch tier.
Fascinating. You know, they come out and they're like, no.
I'm doing great, Beer Biscuit. Thank you for asking. I got a little something of a sore throat, so I'm letting the Muppets speak for me while I grind in Pac-Man.
Oh, we're still making new consoles. There's like a little element of like disappointment, you know? It's like, just like pull the plug, man. Like, it's just this thing is dying.
It's something like that,
just let it
Scrumbles.
die. It's a car that won't stop breaking down, and you just keep pumping more and more money
The end
into
game
it.
is just watch ads?
It's a lost cause. It would be a relief at this point to just
They're just
not
stealing
even have
ideas
to
from
think
Twitch and
about
YouTube
the
now.
concept of Xbox hardware ever again. Not to say necessarily that it would be a good thing, because Sony already has let, you know, a series of victories really go to their heads. If people want to argue that this is the worst iteration of Nintendo that we have ever seen, I would certainly say the same has been true of Sony. It's just they're being real Sony right now. So even if Xbox hasn't really been putting up that
I don't know,
much of
is
a
this
fight,
the worst Sony has ever been?
that they've been keeping them in check at least a little. At least a little bit. They're still there. You know, that's the
guess.
thing. You're beating Xbox very, very solidly right now. But like, I don't know. There's at least this chance. If you slip
like I'm
up
thinking
a little
early
bit
PS3.
too much, you know, if
I was still something of a zygote back then.
About you, you don't
I remember
keep
people
yourself
not liking
strong,
Sony back then. $600 console.
Just waiting to take over. You screw up a little bit too much and Xbox is going to come in and be like, well, we don't do what they did. We're going to do it this way. You know, at least in theory. Hypothetically. Whatever. But if Nintendo is just not competing with either of them anymore, and suddenly
but they are.
Xbox is
They are.
just
Why does Arlo
software,
also use this
they just
cope?
make-
Yeah, Nintendo's over there off on the side doing their own thing.
software and they sell subscription services, they don't even do hardware anymore, then Sony would have a monopoly, basically. They would have a monopoly on the regular old traditional console multi-platform space. And if they are acting this sonily right now, how do you think they would act then? So I don't know. It's a weird situation. But at least for now,
Doom and gloom,
doom and gloom,
doom-monger, fear-monger.
I think I can. Is that even a reference that anyone will get? That's the thing. You grow up, and there's these references. They're just so ubiquitous, so universal, and yet I feel like I can't ever be 100% sure. Does a kid now, do they know what the little engine that could is? I honestly don't know. It's probably been replaced by now. They're probably reading the little Fortnite that Riz.
End of video. Thank you, Arlo. I think I had that movie on VHS. If it's the movie I'm thinking of, it's the one with the blue train that wasn't Thomas the Tank Engine, but the other blue train. Oh well. Most console wars are just the console divisions pointing at the other guy and saying, oh, look, we're not doing what that guy's doing. We're the ones. Alright, got all the fruit. Oh, okay, so it was that one. Alright, you guys ready? You guys ready for the Synthetic Man segment? Oh, Goon's been waiting for this one. I have not seen this video. I've been waiting to watch it on stream, waiting for a good point, the most perfect point to watch it, and I think that point is right here, right now, on the illustrious Dingus morning stream. Silent Hill F is disgusting woke propaganda. Wah!
Feminism. Women get treated no differently than animals. There you go. You want your feminist message? 11 out of 10 game. I can't remember the last time that I've been genuinely disgusted with a video game. And that is not an exaggeration. This is not one of those cases where I just tell you, oh, another modern game sucks. But yes, this game does suck. But that's besides the point. That's just a dime a dozen in this era. No, Silent Hill F genuinely disgusted me. This game is some of the most overt anti-natalism, anti-marriage propaganda that I've seen in years. I think it's pretty clear that the F in the title stands for feminism. And let's forget the fact that this clearly is not a good Silent Hill game. It's not a good game, period. The combat is like bad Dark Souls. And for some reason, there's a devil trigger from Devil May Cry in this as well. It is some of the most clunky jank combat, and not in the way that, oh, classic survival horror games had bad combat, so it's okay for this to have bad combat
man.
too. First of all, that's a lie. There's nothing wrong with classic survival horror gameplay, no matter how much revisionist history shill YouTubers tell you.
I agree. I don't think there's anything wrong with
the
tank
classic
controls.
Resident Evil or Silent Hill games.
But AAA can't get away with that, so we just gotta do whatever we gotta do instead.
Infuriating. And you might be thinking to yourself, okay,
just gotta copy Resident
it's
2
more
remake.
left-wing propaganda, and the combat's bad. Is it at least scary? No, it's not scary either. Half the game is brightly lit, as in the actual town segments with all the fog. Not the least bit scary, man. And even in the dream world segments, whatever you want to call the marriage allegory parts of this game, those aren't scary either, because that's
oh
where you
no, I'm
power
getting
up to
married. I
your
gotta kill
demon
everyone in
form
town
and
in a
just beat the
murderous
shit out
psycho
of enemies
rage.
past the halfway point
Take
in
your
the game.
pills,
Even if
Knuckle.
you take away the clear propaganda angle of this game, I don't think the story is good. In fact, it's ridiculous. I'm just going to spoil the whole game right here in the intro, so you better click off the vid now if you don't.
Alright, you heard the man. If you have not played this game, I gave you a few weeks stalled on watching the video purposefully. If you have not played the game yet, and you do not want to be spoiled, exit the stream now!
Want to hear it, but basically this entire game is just a hallucination, a drug trip. A depressed chick in her 20s is reminiscing about her teenage years. She pops some pills and then goes on a murder spree at her wedding. Somehow the average Japanese woman, oh, she's a little taller than average, kills a bunch of grown-ass men and
She's
women
on the track and
with no
field team.
guns. I guess she just beats them to death. She's that badass. This game is an
Oh, that's why he's
absolute
upset
joke,
about
dude.
it?
I
Oh,
cannot
like the
believe
feasibility
there's a
of that
prominent
happening?
YouTuber, and I'm not going to say who it is, but you already know.
Spear Hunter.
Let's just say it
Spear
involves
Hunter.
increasing your skill upward in some way.
Oh,
saying
skill
this
up.
game is like a masterpiece in the future of Silent Hill. No, this is a horrific joke of a video game. Imagine comparing marriage to chopping off your arm and slicing your face off. Oh, and your husband, he can just mind control you with his voice, by the way. I don't care if
Certainly mind controlled all the Japanese women making fan art of him.
Japan in the 60s, women had no rights. This game was released under the current political climate. They knew that this is left-wing propaganda. And the main writer for this is the guy who made Higurashi When They Cry, which is a pretty infamous series, and I know a lot of people like that, but just trust me, this is complete embarrassing slop. I don't care if he worked as a social worker once upon a time and witnessed a lot of abusive fathers who beat their wives and their children. This story is encouraging Japanese people not to get married or to have kids when their country's birth rate is already in the toilet and has begun
Shinzo wouldn't have
dangerous
approved.
immigrants just like all the first world countries in the West. And why don't we take a
what a
moment
jump.
and ask Western women how happy they are with their financial independence and sleeping around with hundreds of men in their 20s as they find themselves. Oh wait,
I don't know, like going off the fan art again from the actual Japanese people playing this game, it seems like a lot of them want their own fox husband.
and sleeping around with hundreds of men in their 20s as they find themselves. Oh wait, they're the most miserable they have been in recent history. Even disregarding the propaganda aspect, the story is just very poorly written and makes Hinako, the main character, look like a selfish bitch who doesn't want to grow up, was a terrible friend when she was in high school, and is just generally unlikable the more that you find out about her. I mean, even reading her journal, what she thinks of her own parents, just puts a bad taste in my mouth and removes a huge ton of the psychological horror element of this game by just spelling out a lot of the already obvious symbolism to the player. This is a complete joke. I don't care how quote-unquote seriously the story is told. This is basically just about a woman who doesn't want to grow up and accept responsibility because she had abusive parents. Compare that to James Sunderland murdering his wife. Do you think that's on the same level of guilt of being drawn into Silent Hill? Actually, the term Silent Hill is never used in this game at any point. This is clearly
doesn't take place in Silent
originally
Hill.
not a Silent Hill game. Some people suspect it was a Fatal Frame game originally, where instead of it having this weird Dark Souls jank combat, it involved you taking photographs and then doing weird counterattacks on enemies. That's a possibility.
So it's a completely different publisher, though.
This was just a completely original IP that the Silent Hill name was slapped onto, because there's no way this shit would sell otherwise. And judging by the Steam player counts, this game probably didn't sell that well anyway. So once again, I'm kind of put into this situation where I'm reviewing a game that ultimately most people don't actually care about, but because it's pushing for left-wing propaganda in video games, I feel like I have to say something, especially since I was forcing myself through the absolutely abysmal combat. So all of that torture has to mean something, and that something is going to be this review, of course. So without further ado, here's Silent Hill F. Okay, as you...
The comparisons to Fatal Frame seem very surface level. Again, like, it's published by Koei Tecmo, not Konami, so how could it have been a Fatal Frame game originally? It's like, I don't know, is Fatal... I've said this in the past, is Fatal Frame the only game that's allowed to be a horror game that takes place in Japan?
Usual, I'm going to talk about the gameplay first, because this is a video game. I know occasionally we get tourists here who are like,
why would he talk about gameplay first instead of explaining what the game is and what the story synopsis is?
I don't know, it's a video game and you're supposed to play those. It's an interactive medium. It's kind of the whole appeal. And I genuinely believe in this case, the gameplay is bad enough that it detracts from the entire experience. A game I played recently that no one cared about, Bloober Team's latest game, Chronos, The New Dawn. That game was basically just a shitty Dead Space, right? Regardless, if you're one of the 5 people who tried that game, I could see you enjoying
protocol, I
it
guess.
in spite of it being so inferior to other action horror games. In Silent Hill F's case, this is one of the worst combat systems I have ever experienced in any video game. I'm not exaggerating, I swear to you, this is one of the worst combat systems of all time, and I'm gonna try my best to explain why it was so painful. But first, before I say anything, I need to tell you I played this game on hard, and this time I actually have a good reason, because I promised myself I wasn't gonna play a game on hard unless it's notoriously easy. The reason I picked hard for this game is because there's actually only 2 difficulty settings at the start. There's story, yes, they call it story, and hard. Now, I don't know about you, but every single modern video game I've ever played, story meant game journalist difficulty. That's what it means. So I have this dilemma where I have to choose between baby easy and hard is often unbalanced and basically untested. And there's several parts of this game that give me the impression they did not test hard difficulty very thoroughly. Now again, before any tourists decide to use this information against me, just saying,
he did shit on Silent Hill 2 Remake.
Of course it's hard. That means that invalidates all of your complaints. Most of my complaints would be exactly the same on normal difficulty, because I'd say about 90% of my frustration in this game had nothing to do with me dying, and everything to do with how fundamentally broken this combat system is on a basic level. Now, the first time I tried to record this segment,
Synthetic Man's review of Silent Hill 2 Remake made me retroactively revise all of my thoughts on that game. Exclusively watching that video changed my opinion on the Silent Hill 2 Remake.
Being about 20 minutes long, yes, the majority of this video was just talking about the combat mechanics, and it's just because I could probably complain about it forever. But I know you're not really here to hear about that. You probably want to hear about the woke stuff, so I'll try to condense it as much as humanly possible. But I have a lot to say. So basically, imagine Demon Souls or Dark Souls 1 combat combined with a generic cinematic Sony slop game with that over-the-shoulder combat and sliding forward to hit enemies, that kind of thing. There's no guns in this game, unlike pretty much every other Silent Hill. You're just a high school girl beating the shit out of horrific monsters with steel
Wouldn't it be more realistic if she had unrealistic if she had access to firearms?
1,000 times before. You've got a light attack combo, a heavy attack combo, a dodge with invincibility frames, which has an insane amount of ending lag, and enemy hits can actually track you if you dodge too too early as well. And on top of all that, dodging takes about 1/3 of your stamina bar on top of regular attacks also taking stamina. Oh, and I forgot to mention, when you use up your whole stamina bar, it takes several seconds to recover it. You are punished to an insane degree if you ever completely deplete your stamina. You might as well be fucking dead because you can't run away, you can't attack, and you can't dodge. So you're just standing there staring at the enemy, hoping they're not going to kill you. Also, there's a perfect dodge in this game, which actually restores your stamina if you pull it off, but the timing is kind of tight. But enemies do not stop their attack combos once you perfect dodge, so oftentimes you'll dodge, try to get in a heavy attack, and then you'll just get smacked in the face anyway. You also have a faith meter, which is almost like a second stamina bar that is depleted when you're in focus mode, which is when you hold L2. What focus mode does is gives you access to a focus attack, which is a charge attack that can stun an enemy. Every enemy in this game has super armor, including against heavy attacks to a degree. There's like, I guess, a stagger meter. Like the basic mannequin doll enemy types you can stun with a heavy attack, but some of the other enemies you can't. Oh, and every time you hit an enemy, there's an insane amount of hit stop. Like the whole game stops for like half a second to make it seem really like actiony and over the top. This teenage girl is supremely powerful. I have no idea what the hell they were thinking with this. It's almost antithetical to having horror in your horror game. But more importantly,
she's a strong woman. Come on.
That basically completely breaks the combat system. It gives you access to a counter. Certain enemy attacks can be countered. Basically, every enemy type has at least one that can be. And you can either counter it manually by pressing R2 whenever you see a flash, though the window's pretty tight, or more likely you're going to hold L2 and wait for the enemy to go into the animation. Of course, if you hold L2 too long, it'll drain a bunch of your faith meter, and your faith meter is incredibly important for making this combat go smoothly. But assuming you do pick the correct attack to counter, it freezes time for like 2 straight seconds.
I think that happened to me during the main game as well.
And then you press heavy attack and you get this insanely strong counter, which also lets you get a follow-up combo afterward. Just one counter is enough to kill any of the most basic enemy type in the game. So it's obviously what you're going to do against every single doll, scarecrow, whatever the fuck, which you fight like 1,000 of these over the course of the game. There's only 5 enemy types, not including the 3 main bosses. So you're gonna do the same thing over and over and over again. You know, kind of just like the Silent Hill 2 remake.
I was about to say, he had the same issue with enemy variety in that game.
If you flail with R1 and R2, you're gonna get your ass beat in this game, because one of the main enemy types is like this lanky, gangly man who just attacks like a fucking berserk Elden Ring enemy, doing random ass shit. Most of his attacks can't be countered, and there's a lot of hit stun in this game as well, so he can actually combo your ass and deplete like half your health bar on hard difficulty off of one attack. Oh, and of course I can't forget, past the halfway point in the game, during just the dream segments, as I told you in the intro, as an allegory for marriage, Hinako voluntarily slices one of her own arms off and stitches this huge demonic fox arm onto her body, which gives her devil trigger from the Devil May Cry games. You build up a meter by absorbing enemy souls, and then you become invincible for like 30 seconds and just start beating the shit out of enemies with your giant...
I said it while I was playing the game, but for me, that's as far away as it got from Silent Hill gameplay. The combat in general is something that I just accept as a part of the game being a AAA game. The AAA devs aren't gonna... You're never gonna get away with a AAA tank control game in the big 25. Wow, that was silver? Oh, that was fucking dog shit doing that. Okay. 19-minute level. Yeah, he wouldn't review Pac-Man. He'd probably like it. The videos where he likes games get less views than videos where he hates games. Dinger in the morning, I could get used to this. If only I didn't have a sore throat. But yeah, Pierre Joe, welcome in. It is a daytime style stream. A short one, like 3 to 4 hours maybe.
arm. This is the most anti-horror thing I have ever seen in my life, dude. It's kind of hilarious in a way and almost fun. Still not quite fun because of like the jank factor, but at least it added a little bit of variety that the gameplay desperately needed. Too bad that you couldn't use it during the town segments of the game. Anyway, to get back to the point, it doesn't take a genius to see where I'm going with this. If light and heavy attacks make no sense to just pull out randomly, and dodging is only questionably
Yeah, I'm keeping
useful,
the
that
working
leaves
folks
one option.
entertained.
You just spam counters over and over and over again for the entire game, because it is by far the best way of dealing with enemies, and while yes, it costs a valuable resource, it is something that can be restored with consumable items. So you may be asking, how could this combat system possibly be incredibly infuriating?
I do like the Kingdom Hearts music while he describes the gameplay.
All you have to do is walk up to an enemy and hold L2 and then press R2 when the time is right. Well, the answer to that is simple. As I already said, there's a lot of attacks that can't be countered, and the later you get in the game, the less likely enemies are going to use that attack, because there's like pseudo palette swaps in this game, in the sense that I think the AI actually gets smarter, because there's many times in the later half of the game.
Yeah, I'm drinking
where I'll
coffee
hold
now. I might
L2
make some
and the enemies
tea
will
after
just
stream.
stand there and not attack. Now, of course, you can always use a focus attack so you don't drain your entire bar. But focus attacks don't stun as long as a counter. They don't do as much damage as a counter either. So it's more of a consolation prize than anything. You end up using a bunch of meter of the most valuable resource. And then if you're fighting multiple enemies, which happens a lot in this game, then you can very likely get counterattacked and lose a bunch of health. Silent Hill F is 100% an action game. Even though you can run past anywhere from a third to half of the enemies, there's many points in this game where you are forced to kill every enemy to proceed. And even if you aren't,
The
it's
Pregger
very
mom
unlikely you're
moments.
going to run past some of these enemies. Those gangly male enemies I mentioned before can actually run faster than you and jab you in the back as you try to escape. I had to backtrack at one point during the final dungeon in your house, which required me to run through a narrow hall.
Technically, that's the second to final dungeon. It's the final really lengthy dungeon. You still got the final Dark Shrine segment after that, but it's a rather short segment.
With two of these motherfuckers nipping at my ankles, and I don't think I've gotten that pissed running away in a video game ever in my life. I haven't even mentioned all of the times in this game that have borderline forced damage. I'm not going to say that these are completely unreactable, but it definitely feels like trial and error gameplay where they'll hide enemies.
I dislike the grabs, certainly. The grabs being forced damage. You gotta take damage every time you get grabbed. I feel like if this was another survival horror game, you'd be able to break out of it. Like, when you get grabbed, getting grabbed in classic Resi, you can just mash out of it. You'll still take damage, but, like, not a shitload of damage.
Around corners, and then they instantly do a grab animation on you that you probably have less than a fifth of a second to press circle to dodge. Or they'll have the mannequin guys crawl on the ceiling, and then they make a very quiet sound cue, which I couldn't even hear with the volume turned up and my headphones on while I was streaming. And then they jump
And you
on
have it
top
on
of you and slice half your health
headset
bar off.
audio mode?
Absolutely infuriating.
I didn't have a problem with any of the auto
talked about
cues.
the most annoying
I was just
enemy
dog
type
shit
in the game yet,
with
the one
reading
that
them.
represents motherhood. This disgusting.
I think, Ace 2. I think most of the times with the cues, not only did I miss them, but also I hit the wrong trigger button to get the counter. That's why I was so dog shit with the counters. I didn't realize that till after I had finished the game. I was looking back on some of my footage. I was like, why can't I get the counters off? Oh, I'm not even hitting the right trigger.
Abomination covered with giant titties that births enemies out of its lower lips. I'm not even sure I can show this thing on YouTube without the video getting age restricted, but it doesn't take a genius to figure out why this enemy is so obnoxious. Basically, it pops out these little fetus egg things, and if you don't kill them,
I can't
spawns
sweep
an
for the
enemy,
Pregger
right?
enemies.
And as I told you, every 2v1 situation in this game is going to make you sweat. So you go over to the egg, you start hitting it, and then the fat bitch spits acid on your head, which stuns you just long enough so that the egg is time to hatch. Once it starts the hatching animation, you can't stop it anymore. And you fight this bitch like 10 times.
Have you tried
over the
appearing
course of the game.
offline?
She's an absolute damage sponge. She rarely ever uses her counterable attack, and it takes a hell of a lot of strong attacks to stun her. And even if you master the strategy of just killing the eggs in time while dodging so that it's always a 1v1 fight, in the dream sequence there's an encounter with her that is an unavoidable 2v1 1v1 because they hide one of the dolls on the ceiling.
Oh, I know which one he's talking about.
Slice off half your health bar, and then immediately you're thrown into the fight and can't do anything about it. Holy fuck, I was getting so tilted at this one point in the game, it was unreal.
It's because the enemy is feminine.
Bro. All right, I invincibility framed my way out of the grab. That's good. Oh, and then I got grabbed. Oh, you can't make this up. Yeah, let's just, hey, the other one should now use grab, and then the other one can use grab, and then the other one can use grab, and then the other one can use grab. I think that's a great idea. And then call them DSP if they fuck it up.
He's gonna rage quit.
The enemy AI in this game is infuriating. If I stare at them, they won't attack for 10 minutes. If
yeah,
I'm
DSP
not
reference in the
locked
wild,
onto them,
true.
Shank, 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 shank in the back, shank. All of this talk about the combat, and I haven't even mentioned the survival horror mechanics yet. Yes, there is resource management in this game, and it is some of the most annoying I have ever seen. Not only do you have an inventory limit that is ever so slowly expanded over the course of the game, but you have a quick select limit too. Despite there only being 8 quick slots, there's about 12 consumable items. And the consumable items only stack up to 3, or in the case of the first aid kit,
you know, what do you want to
one.
have on
So
quick
many
select?
times you're gonna have
I
to
didn't have a problem with
pause
that.
the game and rearrange your quick select items in the middle of combat. Takes you out of the horror experience even more than the idea of a high school girl beating the fuck out of horrific monsters with a pipe. And there's items that exist solely to sell them so that you get faith points, or whatever the currency is called, I already forgot, so that you can upgrade your character and use the gacha system. Yes, this game actually has an in-game gacha system for Omomoris, which are like charms that give you buff effects. So my inventory ended up being too full to pick up any more items about a dozen times over the course of the game, causing more unnecessary trips back to the bonfire just so I could sell stuff, so I could keep playing the game. The worst
just
part
straight up
is
calls
it
it the
didn't have
bonfire.
to be this way. Half of the items do almost exactly the same thing. Out of those 12 consumables, like 6 of them heal your health, with functionally no difference except the appearance of the item itself, and in a couple cases, how long it takes to use it. The food items can be consumed instantly, whereas the bandage takes a long time to heal you, which can sometimes get you killed. Another added survival horror element is that weapons have durability in this game. Now, normally, I despise weapon durability, but believe it or not, it was rarely a problem in this game. Even on hard, I was never at risk at any point except near the very
It was a risk for me in the semi-final Hineko's house dungeon. I actually did run out of weapons to use. The game eventually spawned some for me, because apparently that's a failsafe that it has programmed in. But I did run out of weapons for a time.
very end of having all my weapons break. There's actually many points where I would discover a weapon and not be able to pick it up because you can only hold 3 at a time. Oh, and if you're wondering if there's any meaningful difference between the weapon types, really it's just attack speed, and in the case of the heavy weapons, you can actually block with them while holding L2, which is actually kind of a neat feature, except it depletes the weapon's durability, so I honestly didn't block very many attacks over the course of the game. I don't really have anything else to say about weapon durability. It's just kind of a tacked on element that doesn't really add anything, but honestly doesn't take away anything either. One of the consumable items in this game, the Higurashi, is completely broken and almost makes this combat fun. It gives you infinite stamina for about 30 seconds, which is more than enough to clear a combat
Where's my
encounter,
infinite rocket launcher
or in the
at?
case of the
Fuck
Dark
this.
Souls-esque boss fights, makes them significantly easier. A lot of the general jankness is considerably less frustrating when you can dodge an attack whenever you want without having to worry about depleting your whole bar and then getting beaten to death in an instant. The thing is, these things are rare enough that you're only going to want to use them against the 3 main bosses, and to briefly touch on those, they are just straight up Dark Souls bosses in the sense that they can kill you in like 2 or 3 hits. They do these long attack combos with huge sweeping moves, and this is the one time in the game where you're going to be dodging a lot because it is the main way to avoid the attacks. I know I'm beating this point like a dead horse, but does this look like a horror game to you, or does this look like an action RPG RPG or a hack and slash game. Fighting the bosses is the only time that the combat system felt semi-competent, and even then, it's not like I really enjoyed them because I'm so sick of Souls-likes as it is. Now, I could probably continue to rant
like
about
DSP
this
is the only,
for
it's
another
the only
10
type
minutes,
of games
but in
that
the
people want to
interest
watch
of
and
time,
play.
I'll just try to summarize why it's such an irritating jank fest, though I think a lot of this B-roll probably speaks for itself. It's a combination of extreme repetition, a terrible camera angle that gets stuck in walls when the fat fucks get too close to you. Of course, you have the very flawed attack and dodge system, meaning that light and heavy attacks are often very unreliable. Dodging has a lot of lag, so if you fuck up the timing, you can easily get punished heavily and have to waste precious healing items. Focus attacks being
Well, I
usable,
mean, it's
but
supposed
draining.
to, it punishes you so you know to take your time and don't just unga bunga grug everything. It's not, you can't say it's like a hack and slash game and then like be mad that you're not allowed to do hack and slash shit. I get it, like he means that specifically for the wolf arm shit, but a lot of it is just like waiting for the right window and then countering, right? Like you can't just unga bunga all the time. Oh no. I think if I do this, I also get the do it without dying achievement. No! No!
A lot of your faith meter unless you have an Omamori to reduce the amount of faith you're using. And of course, all reliable, the counter, which is actually way too effective to the point of being the only thing you'll probably want to use. So the meta of this game ends up being one of the most boring things you could possibly do, which is walking up slowly to an enemy and then holding L2 right before it attacks and then pressing R2 and then beating it to death. Which naturally, the genius devs and neobards thought the only way to make the game more challenging is having enemies past the halfway point. Either stand around and do nothing, letting you drain your faith as you hold L2, or they use an uncounterable attack that is often too fast to react to with the dodge. The terrible cinematic camera often makes it so you can't see enemies attacking you from behind or the sides, and there's no indicator of when they're about to hit you. And of course, if you ever run out of stamina, which is likely going to happen if you're panic dodging, you just have to
That's me,
stand
I'm
around
the
like a
panic
sitting
dodger.
duck and hope the enemies don't grab you or beat the shit out of you, or the game just straight up forcing you to kill all of the enemies to proceed, which it does many times in the last 2 hours of the game. And slowly, all of your accumulated resources are drained, and it feels like there's nothing you can do about it. It is not fun. It is not meaningfully challenging.
Meaningfully
in any
challenging!
way. It is padding, plain and simple, and it has no place in this game. This is not a survival horror game. This is a really bad action game with a horror coat of paint. All right, finally moving on. In the interest of time, I'm going to condense a lot of my thoughts on all the other aspects of this game pretty briefly, just so that we can get to the story analysis. As for level design, there's not much to talk about here. The game is mostly linear, even more linear than previous games in the series, I would argue. There's a bit of an illusion of exploration, some optional
illusion of exploration, the illusion of choice.
Supplies. And during the Shinto temple dream sequences, the map has the illusion of being labyrinthine in nature, but it's still a linear path. You just have to figure out where you're supposed to go. Also, it bears repeating that this game is not the least bit scary.
So it's basically like the Raccoon Police Department.
And I'm the type of guy who doesn't
The illusion
get
of a
scared
maze.
easily with horror games, so I would probably say that about 80 to 90% of all games in this genre ever released. However, there are a few basic objective things that I think detract from the horror no matter who you are. The obvious thing I already went over is that there's way too many combat encounters and there's not enough enemy variety, so once you understand an enemy, they're not scary anymore. Especially since this is an action game instead of a survival horror game, so instead of managing your resources, you're slowly getting better at the game over time. And the more confident you are, the less scary the game is. The other obvious thing is that the game is too fucking bright, especially during the town segments.
It's pretty dark during the Dark Shrine segment.
This just doesn't look scary in any conceivable way. Other than that, I think the game is just kind of lazy about the whole horror aspect in general. There's not enough true psychological horror in this game, which is ironic given the nature of the twist of this game. You would think.
No, I thought there were some pretty decent psychological moments, especially what was the dungeon where you go to like Rinko's room and it slowly turns from her obsessing over Shu, which itself is pretty creepy, until it slowly turns into her seething over Hinako. I thought that was like the scariest room in the game.
like, if nothing you see is real, the game would go way more over the top messing with Hinako's head. But I think the only time the game is kind of experimental with that is in the house dungeon, and even then it's pretty tame. Of course, aside from fighting a bunch of enemies going from point A to point B, there's also quite a few puzzles. I'd say for the most part, the puzzles are pretty simple. There were only a couple that truly stumped me.
none that require you to know
Got
Shakespeare.
to a lot of people, which is the box puzzle.
Hey, John.
I'm not going to go into it, but it was a problem of simultaneously the clue being too vague, and you also had to have somewhat of an understanding.
I guess I was stuck on the box puzzle, but not for too long. I have to go back to the VOD and see how long I spent on that. I don't think I would say that was the one I spent the longest amount of time on. I will admit I had a little bit of difficulty just from, like, I understood what I was supposed to do, but I didn't interpret the clue the way they wanted me to.
Understanding of Japanese culture to even know what the solution is.
Oh, shut the fuck up, Japanese culture.
And
I don't know what the fuck a Sakura tree is. How much anime have you seen? You know who Sakura from Naruto is.
the way the puzzle is designed doesn't even make it clear how
dude
many
probably grew
images
up
you're
with card
supposed
captor
to select
Sakura.
for each solution, because it changes with each of the 3 levels.
Like, were people really that confused with the Sakura thing? I feel like if you have any interest in this game at all, surely you've seen at least one anime with a character named Sakura.
Which makes what should be a really simple and easy puzzle a matter of trial and error. Though if I have to praise one aspect of the game, there was one legitimately good puzzle that also, coincidentally, was arguably the scariest part of the entire game. When you're trapped in the dense fog in the rice fields and you have to select the correct scarecrow. Normally getting really close to horror enemies would make them less scary, but
I'm surprised that he thought that was the best puzzle.
Knowing that they can jump and attack you at any moment if you pick the wrong one was actually really tense. And in later parts of this segment, a couple of the scare
gold record. Let's fucking go. I got really, really fucking lucky with the second phase. Costume unlocked. Look at this. Why does a costume like this exist in a Pac-Man game? I'll never know.
Scarecrows actually move towards you when you turn away from them, which I know is a concept that's been done in a lot of other horror media, but it still adds to the overall tension of you wanting to figure out the puzzle as soon as possible so you don't get stabbed in the back. Also, since this is an Unreal Engine 5 game, I will briefly comment on performance. I'll definitely say it's above average for a UE5 game, but there's definitely still stuttering, specifically in the town segments. I've heard
it's because UE5 renders the whole town, even though it's supposed to be like the older games where the fog exists to cover up the areas that aren't needed at that particular moment. So like if you're at Rinko's house, the fog is meant to cover up all the shit over by Shu's house because you're not supposed to be over there. It's not relevant to the part of the game that you're in. But UE5 still loads the whole town even though it's not needed for... The whole town doesn't need to be loaded the entire time. Only the relevant parts should be loaded. The town should be... The rest of the town should be covered up by the fog. That's how the old games worked it out.
Claims the game runs perfectly. That is a fucking lie. I have the footage to prove it. But it definitely wasn't bad enough to distract from the experience. And as for the visual...
Yeah, I'm playing on OG PS5. I had straight up freezes from time to time, especially in the mid to late game.
Cool aesthetic design of everything. It just kind of looks like a traditional Japanese town. It's set in the 60s, and of course it's got the trademark Silent Hill fog. There's this red rot everywhere that's supposed to represent death that follows you. And the Dream World segments are like in traditional Japanese temples, and I really don't have much to say about that. I guess it's a vaguely interesting setting contrasting with the small town American vibes of the other Silent Hill games, but if you play a lot of Japanese games, I'm sure you've seen all this shit before. The enemy symbolism in this game is pretty obvious. The doll or mannequin type enemies are supposed to represent other high school students. The gangly, lanky dudes are obviously supposed to represent men. The giant fat dude,
particular otakus obsessed with women. Because that's what one of the descriptions
is just straight up revealed.
One of the descriptions for the enemies is like, "Oh my god, he's so disgusting. He's obsessed with me," or something. I'm paraphrasing disingenuously, but it was something like that. Like, yeah, they're obviously supposed to be based on lecherous men.
And the giant fat dude with a butcher blade is just straight up revealed to represent your father, and the obese titty monsters represent motherhood. The bosses also have pretty obvious symbolism, the first one being the friend that Hinako abandoned, the second being her romantic rival, who is in love with Shu, which is basically Hinako's childhood friend that she friend-zoned. She admits at multiple points she had no intention of dating him, yet she's still upset and jealous at Rinko for wanting to date him, and so the two hate each other. Am I supposed to feel sympathetic?
Maybe
for
okay.
Hinako?
Maybe New Game Plus clears that up. I didn't really get. I didn't take that away. She straight up says, "Go for it, Rinko."
She's just as much of a fucking bitch as any of the other women in this game. As for the story, I'm not going to go too in-depth here because I pretty much covered all the major points in the intro. Basically, this game is split into two parts. You have the town parts and you have the dream sequences. The town parts are Hinako reminiscing about her teenage years, while the dream sequences are an allegory for women losing their identity when they get married. Sure, I could go into a lot of details of the story, but honestly, the characters are not that deep.
Wait a minute. Wait, the game might have a point then. We've seen that in real time with Catherine.
They're pretty one note, so there's not that much to talk about. Sakuko, the forgotten friend, only has like 30 seconds of screen time in the beginning. Rinko is the typical rival girl, like I said before, who hates Hinako's guts and wants to get with Shu, and Shu is just the boy next door childhood friend character. Of course, in the dream sequences, you have Hinako's fiance in their arranged marriage, and he is represented as a demonic fox.
I didn't see too much of this character in my first playthrough, but I presume he's the one who's referenced in the playground scene. Of course, the New Game Plus will probably go more into it. Of course, she's gonna be a bit upset if some other girl's gonna take her beta orbiter. Maybe I just read into it wrong. This dented dingus surface level interpretation of the story. She said Rinko, like, go for a bish, and Rinko interpreted that as a sign of war.
Spirit, you know, a kitsune for all.
For context on the pill ending is that she overdoses on White Claudia pills. Shu and his family were given everyone around town. She had a mind break like someone else had in the town in the mountains. That's why there were so many dead doll enemies near that shack in the mountains. Oh. Yeah, doesn't it say in the game, the only reference to actual, Silent Hill, as in the town, is that the White Claudia plants were imported from America. Don't they say that at some point? And that's why they exist in this town. Ebisugayoka, which also means Silent Hill, but in Japanese.
All you weebs out there. Of course, you have Hinako's parents, with the father being a stereotypical alcoholic, abusive dad, and the mother being the complete pushover who's basically a servant to her husband. Now, of course, in a vacuum, I don't think it's feminist or left-wing propaganda to represent an abusive father in a video game. There's many of those in real
sweet
life.
for Angela. Yeah, look, he has to say that because he likes Silent Hill 2 and what it does with Angela.
It is pretty telling how Hinako describes
both
of her parents
Angela
in her journal in-game. And Hinako despising her mother just for wanting to keep the peace and not getting divorced seems very petty and childish from a woman that's actually in her...
Isn't it something like, Japanese couples don't often get divorced? I don't know if that was still the status quo in the 60s, but I believe that's true enough now. Like, they don't like divorce. It's dishonorable or something.
20s. Even if it is framed as her being a teenager for most of the game, it's revealed she's actually an adult in the end. And of course, the final character, one of the villains of the story, is Hinako's older sister, Junko. And Junko is framed as a villain just because she left the family to go get married. That's all she actually does wrong, by the way, since the whole game is just a drug trip. Everything else is just a...
Shu's house just has a field of them nearby. Shut up, Pac-Man. We love you. Shu's house just has a field of them nearby, and he and his family thought they were helping the town, but they weren't aware of the side effects. The true ending goes into their relationship. Okay. It's a concept of shame more than dishonor. Ah, okay. It actually might be my favorite part of the true ending route. We're gonna save Shu, bros. We're gonna save him.
figment of Hinako's imagination, that she's eternally pissed at her sister for daring to get a life. If I'm being charitable, she's really
stopped
mad
being a
just
detractor.
because
She got a
no
life.
one was there to defend her anymore from the horrific parents. But the main antagonist of this game turns out to be you. More specifically,
You're the one.
the Hinako from the dream sequence that becomes like a fox demon. And so the final boss is Hinako just fighting the Dark Souls demon version of herself. But in the bad ending, she ends up just taking all the drugs and murdering.
I mean, okay, let's sweep for it. Silent Hill 3, you also fight the bad version of you and the amusement park. Sweep for that. Why was that okay? That was the version of you that, like, submits to Alessa or something, if I recall correctly.
All the people at the wedding.
It's not even the first time a Silent Hill game has done that, you versus you.
Right? She gets high as fuck and kills the concept of marriage by murdering her husband and all the people there or something. Again, I don't even know what to take away from this story other than the propaganda angle. It just seems like complete nonsense to me. But the way this game's story is told feels so pretentious. Like it's digging at this deeper message somewhere, but there isn't.
Well, okay. I'll humor him here. There are a few moments, and I called it out as I was playing, where I felt like the message was being really... It could be the localization. I saw some Grums-style people saying the localization was woke. Maybe it was just how certain things were translated. I feel like some of the concepts were just very, very thick and on the nose. Not at all with the subtlety and grace of the prior games. Were just really being drilled into my head.
One. The first time you play this game, you get locked into a bad ending. No matter what your choices are, you get the same one every time. And then on subsequent playthroughs, to get better endings, you have to never use the red pill item throughout the game, since, as I already told you,
So he complained earlier that there are multiple healing items that all do the same thing, but now you have it recontextualized where you have to play the game again without one of the most significant and most plentifully supplied healing items. So it kind of explains why there's multiple items that do the same thing.
Pills are what created this drug-fueled massacre in the first place. But I'm not going to torture myself by playing through this whole game again. Yes, there are some changes.
He's not gonna do New Game
Plus, but you still have to suffer through the combat, as I said earlier in this video. So let's just get to the whole woke element of this game. All
right, he's gonna explain how it's woke.
The basics on that. Although I got a lot of my rage out during the intro about the overall feminist message of this game, I think it bears repeating again how ridiculous it is in this day and age that we're getting yet another game pushing for anti-natalism and anti-marriage messaging when women are more unhappy now than they have been in any other point in the past 100 years. Yes, even under the horrifying nuclear family, marriage is like slavery. It's like giving up your identity. You have to do everything your husband says. No, it's much better to be a career woman and work until you're 40. Have no...
Yeah, again, I don't have the true ending, but isn't the takeaway more like just frowning on the concept of arranged marriage rather than marriage in general? Like, I guess it's pretty normal to say, oh, arranged marriage, like, aren't we a bit past that? It's a bit ancient, right? Hinako should marry who she likes.
Fucking kids, your egg carton's empty, you got 5 cats and are constantly stinking a piss, still chasing the high of that Chad who fucked you one time when you were 20. I mean, come on, do I even need to tell you how ridiculous it is to equate marriage to chopping your arm off, slicing your face off, getting a huge ass brand on your back, and your husband literally having mind control over you? Can you imagine if somebody made a game about marriage today and it showed the horrors of the divorce court with women taking half of the man's money, having custody of the kids, showing how these single mothers subtly abuse and neglect their children? They end up being these soy boy redditor cuckolds when they grow up. Obviously everyone would call that right-wing propaganda, but this game comes out and some major reviewers are shilling the hell out of it, calling it some kind of deep artistic
Call out Sphere Hunter.
masterpiece or some shit. I feel like anyone with a working brain and even a modicum of maturity, because I certainly consider myself pretty immature, all things considered, but even I thought this is just edgelord shit, the cringe kind, where Hinako thinks marriage is so fucking horrible, it's like brutally mutilating yourself and losing your entire identity. It frames this whole story as a melodramatic bout of hysteria from a drugged up woman, and she's actually rewarded by being able to somehow murder a bunch of people at her wedding, which is such a dog shit twist ending because of how ridiculous it is. How am I supposed to take this story seriously on any level when it is cartoon shit? Silent Hill is not cartoon shit, man. This is a joke. Another conspiracy-esque element you can think about is Japan's birth rates are lower than ever, and they're also importing more immigrants than any other point in their history, much like every first.
If the birth rates are lower than ever, why are you accusing them of coming up with a game where they're trying to promote against having babies and getting married? Maybe they just wanted to tell a story, you guys.
Country in the West right now. So again, do not doubt for a second, this is more globo homo propaganda. Shinzo Abe is rolling in his grave right now seeing this shit. And to add to the absurdity, this game was developed by Neobards, the shitheads who made that terrible Dead Rising Deluxe remaster last year. They're a Hong Kong-based company. So this is a Chinese game telling Japanese people to not get married and to not have kids. Are you gonna tell me?
That's his point. That's his point. It's the devs aren't Japanese, they're Chinese, and they're trying to control the Japanese populace. That's his contention.
They're a Hong Kong-based company. So this is a Chinese game telling Japanese people to not get married and to not have kids. Are you going to tell me right now that isn't propaganda? You can call me a schizo.
Singers is doing arranged dating.
That is 100% on purpose. Despite my numerous significant complaints with this game, while I was editing this video, I decided to play a little bit of New Game Plus on story difficulty, just out of pure morbid curiosity. I wanted to see how much easier the game is, and holy fuck, the enemies only do like half as much damage and take less hits to kill on top of that. I know it's just a stupid meme on a certain basket weaving forum, but I genuinely believe if you played this on story difficulty, you didn't beat the game. Regardless, I decided to do the UFO ending since you can do it in like the first 3 hours. And man, they even found a way to mess up a joke ending. At first, it's actually pretty cute. It's just a series of manga panels with an old traditional art style. And all the weird happenings in the town are obviously explained with an alien invasion.
I like the art style here.
And the giant faceless wedding creature, the other half of Hinako, is actually a robot that Sakuko built to find the aliens. But then there's a really cringy joke about Shu being a perv and all the women beat the shit out of him. Yeah, man, this is just fucking cringe. But in any case, I thought this was
they
worth
ruined.
mentioning.
Oh, poor Shu, the most whatever dude ever.
The video. Let's wrap this shit up. So in conclusion, should you buy this game? Hell no. This game pissed me off in many different ways.
This fucking
I
game,
can't even
man.
remember the last time I've gotten this enraged by a single player game. And it's not just
Now,
because
this guy
of the
sees
propaganda,
roasties whenever he
it's
sees
not even
windmills.
just because of the gameplay. This is an insult to Silent Hill. It's an insult to the horror genre. It doesn't do anything right. It's not scary. It's not fun. It doesn't tell a good story. And yet there are people on this platform, my fellow YouTubers, who highly recommend this game and say it's the future of the franchise. What a fucking joke, man. It's incredibly obvious that Neobards was trying to make a Silent Hill game for women, and the worst kind of woman at that.
You know he hasn't had sex. You were here when we watched his Death Stranding 2 review. His non-review, which was actually just him crying because he's almost 30 and he hasn't done anything meaningful with his life.
Our leftist, communist, champagne socialist, feminist type who absolutely despises men and other women and her parents and basically everyone.
Were you there for that? You may
And
have
yet
been.
we're
I thought you
supposed to
were.
feel sorry
Sarah was
for
here
her.
for it.
So it's a Silent Hill for Karens, basically. Wow, what a concept. I don't want to go over all the flaws with this game again for this conclusion. You're just gonna have to actually watch the video this time if you're one of the people who skipped to the end. I don't even want to talk about this game ever again. Genuinely, what a horrific waste of my time. Hopefully we all
Literally a
forget
waste
about
of
this game
everyone's
in a
time.
week and just move on to the next slop. Like Ghost of Yote, which no doubt my review will enrage a lot of people. Well, I'm looking forward to crapping all over Sony fans again. So that's about it. See you next time, guys.
All right, there it is. He felted the game. I'm sorry, guys. He was right. The game is a big woke joke. Synthetic Man wins again. I got no sweep for it. He spat the hard truths out there. Yeah, I'm sorry, Obama. I'm not playing the OG version. I'm just doing some missions before I clock in. Oh, wow. I can throw rocks far. The Fuda Man is an incel, by his own admission. Yes. It was a terrible video. Does he have one more? I think he does. Oh yeah, Borderlands. I probably should have watched the Borderlands video first. Borderlands is terrible and always has been. Now see, look, there's no way you guys are going to disagree with that one.
Truly, some
yeah,
genius strats
Obama
here.
loves me in my content.
Oh my god, I beat the
He's a big
boss. I'm
fan.
so good at Borderlands, guys. You don't even know how good I am at these games. Anti-DSP? Wow, none of this looks legendary to me. Did I just waste my time? Did the game just crash?
What?
Hey, oh my god.
Fuck you, Randy.
Listen, I'm just gonna be honest with you right up front. I have never liked Borderlands. I remember when Borderlands 2 came out back when I was in high school, and I played it with a few of my buddies, and we all got bored less than 10 hours in. And that is considered to be the pinnacle of this series, the game that got everything right. And yet me, my brother, and two of my friends all got bored at various points, because at the end of the day, this series is just pure unadulterated slop, and always has been. All you do in this series is shoot the same handful of enemies with the same handful of guns to pick up incrementally better versions of the guns you already have. And you do this for dozens of hours.
He said Mafia the Old Country wasn't woke because it had a white man, white woman relationship, but he also said that doesn't make the game good.
Hundreds if you're the type who does New Game Plus, True Vault Hunter
And you're dented
mode,
if you think
etc.,
that makes the game worth buying
and
or
the whole
playing.
series selling point that there's 10 gorillion guns is a lie. In reality, there's maybe 20 guns, and there's a handful of modifiers on those guns so that they can lie to you and say that there's a kajillion guns. When one Jacobs assault rifle is exactly the same as another Jacobs assault rifle. Oh, this one has 4 more rounds in the magazine. This one has 2% more accuracy. I do not like loot games in general because they are the ultimate representation of the Skinner box, of dripping dopamine into your brain ever so slowly and thinly. I mean, let's be honest, that's just not enough for somebody like me, whose dopamine receptors are completely fried by overstimulation. It was like pulling teeth trying to play this game without playing a video on my second monitor. And honestly, if I
Hey,
did,
that's
the
what
frame
I'm
rate would
doing.
have been even more
I actually
unstable
like
and
this game,
shitty
though.
than it was, so it was probably for the best that I didn't. Oh, and we can't talk about Borderlands without talking about the humor. This has to be the most insufferable writing that has ever been featured in any video game series. I know people tell themselves that it used to be kind of funny, like Borderlands 2, at least Handsome Jack was a somewhat amusing character. I can't say I ever laughed out loud at any of his jokes. It's still very juvenile, but I don't know, some of the stuff he said was kind of edgy, and as you know, I love edgy humor.
That's true. There are people on 4chan that also like Synthetic Man as much as there are people that hate Synthetic Man. He has admitted to basically coming from V and being V personified, and that's how I found out about him, because he used to self-shill on the platform. So yeah, by his own admission again, he is the personified
humor. But Borderlands 3 and 4, holy shit.
That's true, not
man.
everybody
The
likes him.
series has
People
been
make fun of him
completely
for being the
and
Fuda guy
utterly
on V.
sanitized. This isn't just millennial humor. This is like purposefully painful humor. I think the actual intent of the writing is to piss you off. There's a quest in this game where one player has to play Simon Says while the other 3 watch him do it. This is real! We're playing Simon Says in a rated M game. You can make any number of excuses for this kind of infantile gameplay in Donkey Kong Bonanza. That's fine. This game is for adults.
Oh, sweeping for baby games again, huh?
Simon Says. If Borderlands 3 was known for being like the most left-wing one with obnoxious girl bosses and a DLC focused entirely on a gay wedding, Borderlands 4 is just the safest, most corporate-friendly, left-leaning crap that is annoying at worst to somebody like me, but mostly just boring. Now listen, we all have bad taste in video games to some degree, you know? Dragon Ball The Breakers is one of my favorite games, and it is one of the worst multiplayer games ever made. So I'm not just gonna stand here and shit all over everyone who likes this series. Well, maybe I will a little bit, because let's be honest, Borderlands kind of deserves it. Yes, this is a long intro because, let's be honest, this is just gonna be a glorified shitpost. Do you want to hear some complain Kino, as some of my fans have come to calling it? Yeah, that's what this video is gonna be, because I don't give a fuck about fairly analyzing Borderlands. It doesn't deserve it. We all know this series is garbage. It's okay if it's your gaming guilty pleasure, but let's not pretend on any level that these games are good. They are not. They are a time waste.
I'm doing great, Mr. Pun. Thank you for asking.
A time waster that you can have marginally more fun with friends, though I would honestly even debate that point. I feel like any game ever made is more fun if you add a co-op feature. I would pick Resident Evil 5 any day over this. Hell, I had more fun playing Dead Space 3 with a friend than any single Borderlands game. That is not a joke. I am not exaggerating. And you have to understand, we now live in the era of friend slop. There's actually no need for a game like Borderlands anymore, when it feels like every handful of weeks there's a new flavor of the month game that comes out that is
why play Borderlands when you can just play Lethal Company?
Now, before I get into any of the specific problems of Borderlands 4, I do want to address a couple things. First of all is a little bit of an update on the whole YouTube views situation. So, Josh Strife Hayes figured out that the reason that YouTube views are so low across the site is because specifically desktop PC views have cratered. Now, feel free to call me a conspiracy theorist, but I don't think suddenly on August 10th, everyone's desktop PC exploded or people just decide to stop watching YouTube. The most popular theory right now as to why this is the case is YouTube just quietly decided to stop counting viewers that have any form of ad blocker on as views. Now, if you're a corpo shill, which I doubt is anybody watching this video for being real, you could say that YouTubers don't deserve the ad revenue from a video view where the user didn't view an ad. Okay, sure, let's just say that's fair. Why the hell would they not count it as a view entirely? Especially because it's obvious that the algorithm has not been adjusted to reflect this change. So now we have at least a month, if not a full year's worth of videos, which I'm not going to get into that, but for some reason, this is also connected to the restricted mode thing. People are not getting recommended like any videos being made in the past year, with maybe some exceptions. Just check out your recommended sidebar on your computer and look how many of those videos are from a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and how many of you are getting recommended videos you've already seen, yet it doesn't show the red bar at the bottom signifying that you've watched it. It's obvious that whatever Indians and, you know, praise Vishnu, praise India and all that, clearly they're the future of America, etc., etc. It's clear that whatever brave brown individuals working at YouTube
maybe you just erased your cache
and they have no idea
and YouTube
how the
forgot
algorithm
you already
works,
watched it.
so they didn't adjust anything else to reflect this new, more realistic view count. So now nobody's videos are getting shared in the algorithm anymore.
What does this have to do with Randy
Obviously,
Pitchford's
I'm not
latest
going to ask
masterpiece,
people
though?
to turn off ad block. I think that's absurd. Nobody wants to watch these dog shit ads on YouTube. I'll leave it completely up to you if you'd like to whitelist my channel specifically for ad block, but even if, you know, 1,000 of you do that, that's not nearly enough to make a difference. Ultimately, this is on YouTube to fix the problem. Okay, this is the last time I will harass you about low view counts
This is the
until
final
there's a major
time
update.
I'm gonna
like
respond
YouTube
to the Kino
reverts this
Casino.
stuff. It's clear that hyping videos did absolutely nothing because my Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta Remake was actually in YouTube's top 100 most hyped videos, and yet it barely got any views from that. Maybe 5 to 10,000 at the most. So thank you for introducing yet another useless feature, YouTube. All right, back to the Borderlands 4 review, if we can even call it that.
Oh, we're gonna talk about the game?
Anything inherent to it that makes it more fun with friends. It's just a game that you can play with friends. In fact, I only played Borderlands 4 with my friends for about 8 hours, and I ended up playing the rest of the game by myself about 20 more hours. I was having more fun playing by myself, and I'll tell you why.
He's playing with
It's
himself.
because the more people you play with, the more badass enemies spawn, and
Oh,
enemy
the
health
HP
is
scaling?
scaled anyway
Yeah.
with each player. So everything
thought we
feels
left
like
that
a
problem in the early
goddamn bullet
2010s.
sponge in this game. How the fuck do brain dead normie NPC motherfuckers find it fun to shoot a guy in the face 500 times before he dies? Genuinely, how is that compelling on any level? And the thing is, I'm sure there's some people like, oh, you guys just sucked, or again, you just didn't even try to have fun, you didn't min-max your build or whatever, even though those were the early levels, so you can't even really min-max. Well, when I played the rest of the game by myself, I did min-max for shotgun damage, and there were multiple points in the game where I could 1 or 2 tap any non-mini boss enemy type in the game by clicking on their head. And the game still wasn't fun. I'll tell you why. Because it's completely brain dead. All I was doing was casually strolling around and just click, 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 click over and over again. This is just absolute brain rot. And the thing is, the shooting doesn't even feel that good. And a big part of that is because of the horrific performance. This game relies so heavily on frame generation to get a workable frame rate, even at 1440p. We're not even talking 4K. Most of my playtime was done on medium-low settings with DLSS on, and still the fucking frame rate is all over the goddamn place.
Did you have subtitles on?
Oh, this is on a 3080, by the way. And it certainly wasn't being bottlenecked by my Ryzen 9 5900X CPU. Medium-low on a game that looks like it came out over a decade ago. This is a cel-shaded, like, comic booky cartoon art style. Why the hell does it have such insanely high system requirements? There's an insane amount of input lag, and a lot of the guns in this game have slow projectile speeds to match, so it's hard to even fucking hit something directly in front of you because there's such of a delay from the moment you click on the mouse and the bullet actually hits the target. I mean, I'm missing point-blank shotgun shots to the face, and I know there's gotta be people who say skill issue, whatever, but it's not like I was losing. I didn't even give a fuck that I missed half the time because this game's not fun. Now, of course, Randy Pitchford, or as I like to call him, Randy Pitchberg, for no particular reason, was having a bitch fit on Twitter because people are constantly pointing out how horribly his game runs, and he's making all sorts of excuses. And hey, cool it with the transphobic remarks, bro. Well, sorry, Randy, your movie bombed, your game sucks. I'm not even convinced that you're human, so sit down and shut up as synthetic god dismantles your newest baby. I'm totally sure he's gonna watch this video, guys. Definitely. This game has absolutely no substance at all, and that is not.
Don't worry,
new
that
for
was
this
ironic.
series. It has always been this way. This has nothing to do with political propaganda and everything to do with the actual gameplay loop being fundamentally unsatisfying. And I know it's subjective. I know there's some fucking retards who are gonna think this is the best shit ever to play with your buddies, and you've always had fun and you sink in hundreds of hours trying to get the perfect god roll on whatever gun that drops. And look, I'm no stranger to this series, even though I don't don't like loot games. I put over 500 hours in Destiny 2 when the Forsaken expansion came out, but Destiny actually has good shooting mechanics. Borderlands does not. It has never felt good. It doesn't matter if there's technically over 50 enemy types when they all functionally do the same shit, which is basically nothing. Just stand around and let them shoot you in the head. Even the ones that rush at you and are harder to shoot, who cares? You just back up and air dash or hover over their heads. Or hell, you could just take the hit. It doesn't even matter if you go down in like 3 or 4 hits. As long as you can kill a minor enemy, you just come right back up anyway. There's no consequences for bad gameplay. And you could say, oh, just play it on hard mode. But how would that make this game any more fun? If anything, it'd make it worse, because then, if it ever becomes truly challenging, I just jump up onto a rooftop, crouch, and just peek out and click, 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 click. It's the same fucking gameplay. There's no level design. There's no encounter design. The enemy variety is virtually meaningless, except maybe flying enemies could hit me with my camping rooftop strategy. You're just doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. Every encounter feels exactly the same. This is like the video game equivalent of an MMO in the worst way possible, in the sense that I'm just spamming all my abilities as soon as the cooldowns are up, right? There's no reason not to use your grenade or your heavy ordnance every time it comes off cooldown, because the cooldowns are so short anyway. The same
Destiny
goes for
balls.
each character's
I don't know anything about Destiny, the game, but I feel like people who know life that game would disagree on him giving the big ups to giving the big ups to Destiny over Borderlands. It's all
ability.
garbage.
I can't speak for all of them, but Vex's Incarnate is just a flat buff to my character, so I should use it every available opportunity, especially when the cooldown's only 1 minute, and I spec'd it out to last a really long time. This is brain dead. Utterly, utterly brain dead gameplay, which would be fine if it was like addicting and really tight and satisfying, but I just don't think it is. There's no reason to play Borderlands over something like Destiny or hell, even like Deep Rock Galactic. I'd maybe even stretch and say Earth Defense Force is more satisfying, except that this is a new release, and you know, the normie casuals who have to buy every fucking game as soon as they come out, or they'll have FOMO, they gotta get this shit. Support Randy
My
Pitchford
FOMO
Stein's
money.
fucking addiction to CP, allegedly, of course.
What?
No, actually, they were all adults, and it was for artistic purposes. No, this series sucks, man. If you really want...
Oh, does he mean when he left the USB drive in that one diner? I heard about that story.
Like a normal analytical review from me, originally I did record about 15 to 20 minutes really dissecting why Borderlands is unsatisfying from a video game perspective, but I realized I'm basically just preaching to the choir, and there's no reason this video needs to be
Yeah, the
45
fans are
minutes
tanking
long, or even longer than.
They're trying to face tank the shot collar controversy. It doesn't matter. Who cares? First, it went from bump the toe to what about Gaza to shot collars are based actually, and they're legal, and they're actually reasonable uses in which you would want to use a shot collar if you want to know the truth about it, to what about H3 and his dogs and they shit in his house? What about that?
That, because ultimately I think anyone who has any amount of taste already agrees with me that Borderlands sucks, and kind of always has. I mean, sure, we could spend a lot of time dissecting why the combat arenas are virtually all the same and all that matters is the placement of explosives, or how loot drops are fundamentally unsatisfying because epics in this game drop so commonly that there's no reason to ever take a look at a green, a blue, especially not a white, and legendaries are so insanely rare, it was driving me insane. Over the course of the first 15 hours of gameplay, I only got 1 legendary to drop, and it wasn't even a gun, it was a grenade. And over the course of 28 hours, I only got to touch 8 legendaries. 4 out of those 8 were from golden keys. Oh, and for the little slimy...
Oh, yeah, you're right. The vibration collar cope. Oh, it's a vibration-only model. It's not a shock-only model, even though multiple people turned up the gamma. And sometimes you didn't even need to turn up the gamma to see the electrical tape present on the collar. Oh, it's a vibration-only model, even though it's literally the shock and vibration model.
turd on top of the shit cake, 2 of those 8 legendaries with the same goddamn shotgun, one of which was a quest reward. So you're hearing that right. Only 3 legendaries dropped from chests or enemies in 28 hours. And it gets even worse the more I think about it. This game has these huge boss fights, and they're pretty good, actually. The Callus boss fight took me 3 tries because she actually killed me a couple times when she didn't have any minions spawned. So I actually had to pay attention and not just turn my brain off and mindlessly shoot her and spam grenades and all that stuff. So I like that first fight. But you spend about 5 minutes shooting this massive bullet sponge that has these Dark Souls-esque attacks, and then it drops worse loot than a randomly generated world boss in the sandbox. I'm not joking. Consistently, I got more epics from randomly generated sandbox activities than the main story bosses in this game. I feel like I could complain about this game all day, truly. So instead, I'm going to try and condense my complaints into a series of bullet points really quickly for you. 1, as I already stated, the shooting isn't fun. The enemies are either extreme bullet sponges or die in 1 or 2 shots if you're min-maxed. 2, the enemy variety may seem pretty wide at first, but in reality, there's only about 4 or 5 total enemy functions amongst those 50 types, and you basically deal with them all the same. You figure out where the weak spot is, then you just click on it until it dies. 3, the level design and encounter design is meaningless because every arena is functionally the same. Just a big empty circle with some explosive barrels, some of which you can pick up and throw at enemies, but it does barely any damage. 4, the movement mechanics are pretty solid, but they're completely unnecessary. You don't have to slide.
Did Pokemon actually have a response to the dog thing?
You don't
or
have
she
to use
just
the
talk about that
lasso to get
podcast?
across the arena, even though you can cancel out of it with a double jump and save a shit ton of momentum, which is actually really fun, but functionally is never required or even incentivized over the course of the game. 5, despite the series' reputation of having 10 billion guns, functionally there's maybe 30 tops. I have to give Borderlands 4 a little bit more credit in this department, though, compared to previous entries in the series, as clearly there has been an
I'm out of
effort
7
to
TV
further
room.
distinguish
I'm sure
the
some
guns
people have
from one
made Kai
another instead of
emotes,
just
but
stats.
I don't
There's
have
a lot
room
of
to add more.
under-barrel attachments and other alternate functions on
Do some
guns
spring
now.
cleaning-
And to
spring
even
cleaning.
further distinguish the guns from one another, they now can have licensed parts from other manufacturers. So a Jacobs gun could have a part from Vladoff or Hyperion, etc., etc. So all of that is good, but it still does not solve the problem that 95% of guns are still the basic ass assault rifle, SMG, pistol, shotgun, sniper rifle that you see in every single shooter ever made. There is very little effort into making truly unique guns. Even the legendaries that I got a chance to try didn't seem very unique. And I'm not gonna sit here and give you a shit ton of examples of video games that have actually creative guns, but the most obvious examples would be Half-Life 1 and 2, or if we're talking about games I grew up with, of course Ratchet and Clank, even though technically none of those games are FPSs, they're action platformers, and obviously that genre has a lot more
LTG
freedom
back
to have
on
creative
YouTube?
weaponry,
Really?
in that you literally dodge bullets in those
Congratulations.
games. So your own projectiles can be much slower and have a very wide variety of functions. But still, I think they could do better than this. Even the energy weapons, a lot of what they do just isn't that interesting, like shooting a bunch of little globules that explode or a huge orb that flies slow. I don't know, it just doesn't feel good, though most of the shooting in this game doesn't feel good. 6, the character abilities just feel like win buttons, but not as visually or gameplay-wise even as satisfying as ultimates in a hero shooter. Yes, you can use them much more frequently than ultimates in any of these other games, but the actual effect is not nearly as impressive. Now, obviously, there's a wide variety of abilities, and I spent 99% of my playtime just using Incarnate on Vex, so maybe one of the 12 abilities is really cool, but from what I've seen, at least from what my buddies played as well, none of them were really that satisfying. I don't know. At best, it does change your playstyle for a little bit, like Rafa has one where you can slice people up with blades, but this is a shooter.
Thank you for the Gordo Rain. He and his friends were so fucking bored, guys.
really that satisfying. I don't know. At best, it does change your playstyle for a little bit. Like Rafa has one where you can slice people up with blades, but this is a shooter. You want to be shooting people, I would think. And my ability was just kind of a somewhat significant buff to my overall gameplay. Like, I'm not going to downplay it and say it didn't make much of a difference, because it auto-reloaded my guns, it did a lot of damage, and it did various other little minor things that helped my overall gameplay. But I still played the game the exact same way while my ultimate was active versus when it wasn't. So I can't really say it made the game that much more fun. 7. This game has level scaling. Now, I know some people are going to argue this is a good thing for a looter shooter, because let's say I'm level 25, I go to a zone where the enemies are only level 15, I kill them super easily, and the loot drops are only level 15, so I'm wasting my time.
Praise that, son. Did I beat the game already?
To
Yeah.
a degree, right?
100%.
Because then, after you beat the game and you want to go back and do all of the side quests, at least you have a real reason to do those side quests, because it'll always drop loot at your level. I think that part of it is fine. However, what I do have a problem with is that not only is there level scaling, but there's also a minimum level of the enemies as well. So I tried to bum rush my way through the story past the 15-hour mark, right? Because I was pretty sick of this game. I wanted to finish it. Lo and behold, the final zone of the game, the enemies spawn at level 35 at minimum. I was only level 29 when I got here. So I actually had to leave and level grind, which took a long fucking time, because despite enemies being a higher level than you, they actually don't really give you a noticeable higher amount of experience points. So this is just straight up padding. I can't even go around and do quests that I'm over leveled for.
Night shift, yeah.
A bunch of
but I'm still gonna do a night stream
from said quests.
It'll start around the same time I started
level.
last night.
So no matter what I did, it
FYI.
was gonna take me the same amount of fucking time to get to roughly level 32 when I decided I was good enough to finish the game. And the thing is, you could just say, oh, get good, kill these enemies who are 5 levels higher than you or more. That's virtually impossible. If the enemies have a skull next to their level, that means you're gonna get fucked. So this complaint is less about level scaling and more about the forced padding in this game, that I was required to go out of my way and spend about 3 hours grinding just to finish the game. Now, despite my obvious distaste for this game, I decided to do my due diligence and actually play some of the post game. And a few of my problems
but you didn't want to do New Game Plus for Silent Hill?
Alleviated. Namely, the loot problem is probably the biggest fix, as the new Ultimate Vault Hunter mode replaces New Game Plus. It seems like Gearbox tried to lazily copy off of Destiny here, where instead of running strikes or raids, you redo story missions with multiple modifiers on them, and you fight super hard versions of the various bosses spread throughout the game. The thing is, New Game Plus is obviously superior to this, because it's only one story mission and one boss a week, because they try to turn this slop into live service. And as for the Ultimate Vault Hunter mode thing, essentially you have to earn Ultimate Vault Hunter levels, and each level makes all of the enemies spread across the world
sure who
more
the audience
difficult.
is for
the problem
Borderlands
is, for no
as games as a
reason,
service.
it also ups the level of everything in the world on top of that. So even though there's already level scaling, with just one level of what I'll just say UVH, so I don't have to keep saying it over and over again, the enemies went from being 2 to 3 levels higher than me at most to now being 7 levels higher than me, which made them virtually unkillable. So even though more legendaries dropped over the course of 4 hours than the entire roughly 28 hours of the main campaign, the game was much more painful to play with the Ultimate Vault Hunter mode activated, because I wasn't about to grind to level 50 and min-max my build just so that I can get a few more shiny guns to drop out of enemies. It just wasn't worth the time. I mean, this end game is so lazy, it's unreal. Can you imagine if in Strikes in Destiny, instead of being special missions designed just for that game mode, they were story missions that you had to do again while listening to every single fucking cutscene, most of which are unskippable Half-Life 2 style cutscenes. I just have to stare at characters talk for like 5 straight minutes. This is the worst padding imaginable. There was no thought put into this whatsoever. For all of you co-op slop game enjoyers, are you seriously entertained by watching other characters talk while you and your buddies just have to jump around and spin in circles or shoot the shit out of whatever boring ass stories you have to share with each other about your daily wage slave lives? It doesn't help that the mission they chose for the very first week of the game release, Shadow of the Mountain, half of that fucking mission is talking.
Miguel from Tower of Juaga. No, I'm supposed to be Spooky. This is like the Spooky outfit. I can see how you see the resemblance though, but that guy's his armor is gold, isn't it?
Only get one story mission a week with a legendary weapon drop at the end. And then you gotta wait for next week. This is garbage, period. Absolute fucking garbage. There's no excuse. But yeah, that's it for gameplay. Let's talk a little bit about the woke stuff. Is it woke? And yes, obviously it's fucking Borderlands. Of course it is. But I guess maybe the longer question would be, is it less woke than the previous game? And believe it or not, the answer is yes. Even though I never finished Borderlands 3, I'm well aware of a lot of the content that's in the game. And a couple people in my audience have given me info on the previous one that is extremely cringy, like a gun that encourages you to get vaxxed and a DLC that is purely dedicated to a gay wedding. Yeah, there's nothing that severe in this game from what I've seen. No, this is the more sterilized, subtle type of wokeness. Think Starfield, right? And seriously, look at the generic NPCs, man. What race are these people supposed to be? It looks like everyone is part African on this planet. Another good example, just take a look at the Vault Hunters themselves. Even the one white guy amongst them, Amon, who's clearly supposed to be inspired by Vikings, has a huge flat nose that is not phenotypically Nordic by any stretch of the imagination. Oh, and he's gay too. Yes, the most physically masculine character in the game is a homosexual. Is that surprising to anybody? So clearly they just wanted to make a gay Kratos, who's an albino black man. I even heard rumors that originally he was black and they realized they didn't have any white characters in the game, so they just bleached him. Even the goth girl
That's how you know
is
the
Asian.
game's less woke.
The dude wearing armor
actually made an effort to include
Hispanic,
one white character.
I think. And of course we have the black female genius engineer. I swear to God, this shit is just spitting in your fucking face.
Really
The amount
making
of
strides
times
here.
that I've seen recent media have a genius black woman character. I mean, we've got Ironheart, the replacement for Iron Man. We got that one bitch from The Boys who's like the smartest person on the planet. This shit is fucking parody tier, absolutely. Except it's the type of parody you can't point out or everyone will call you racist. So it's an Emperor's New Clothes situation for all the normie cowards. I'm
Damned
no
if you do,
coward,
damned
so
if you
I'll
don't.
clearly point out how retarded this is. I'm not going to put IQ statistics on the screen because I don't think you need to see them. You already know. So yes, we have another of that character archetype. But I'd say generally the wokeness is a step down from the previous one because it's less in your face. There's a lot less propaganda, right? This game has that aura of corporate sterilization, where once upon a time, earlier in development before this huge pushback against wokeness, this was probably 10 times more offensive and in your face because Randy Pitchford knows you're going to buy this shit anyway. And judging by the Steam player counts, he was right to some degree. But we're currently in a pendulum shift of sorts, not a major one by any stretch. Anybody saying wokeness is dead is completely and utterly delusional. But this is the type
DSP
of
was wrong
stuff
about the
that the
pendulum
normie
shifting.
is now conditioned to accept. Yes, your alien planets will be incredibly diverse, everyone will be ugly as shit, and you're not allowed to point it out because it's just fantasy or sci-fi. It can be anything. It has to be the exact racial demographics of New York City or San Francisco or Los Angeles or whatever. Yes, everyone must be a fucking city bug man and talk like a fucking champagne socialist millennial soy boy redditor. That's not weird at all. I think it's completely pointless to give you a huge compilation of dialogue from this game because one, when I was playing with my buddies, we just talked over all of it anyway, and two, you've played a
It means he doesn't have any
Borderlands
usable
game,
footage.
You already know how cringe the dialogue is. There's not a single goddamn funny joke
He's
in
lazy.
this game.
He doesn't
I'll
want to
give you
get footage
one
that doesn't have his friends
painful
talking
long
over it.
example that just kind of exemplifies every joke in this game.
Yeah, what is it? Another prisoner shipment?
Let me in.
The password is honk shoe me.
Bingo! Come on in. You never can be too careful with vault hunters running around. These passwords have gotten weird too. They used to be simple. Hail the Ripper Queen. Easy. But then Driller Hole started sleeping in an old-timey nightcap and demanding cutesy catchphrases, some of which were super copyrighted.
Hey, Topper. I am grinding Pac-Man costumes to the dulcet tones of a man crying about wokeness. Just to have something to listen to.
Ah, shit! You're a vault hunter! Damn my chatty nature!
And yes, I'm well aware that there's going to be morons who say Borderlands was always woke because the female characters were always the strongest because the sirens in universe have magic powers that make them like gods or whatever, right? I don't give a fuck about any of that, honestly. What I do care about is the game is just fucking obnoxious, dude. Like, even if you turn the audio off, this game has Half-Life 2 style cutscenes, about 100 of them. Again, I know this is typical of the series. I played the other games. Doesn't matter. I'm still going to complain about it because they shouldn't exist. Why am I supposed to just run around in a circle and jump and glide and shoot at nothing while characters talk to each other about shit I don't give a fuck about for like 5 goddamn minutes? How the hell is this co-op friendly? No one cares about what's happening. Nobody. None of us did. Why are they forcing us to listen to this? Why is there no way to skip the dialogue? I don't care about any of these ragtag group of characters that we helped throughout the game. They're all fucking diverse and completely inoffensive and boring. In the second region of the open world, you end up meeting this guy named Quent, who's basically this useless gay guy, and that's the whole joke. He's good for nothing. Eventually, he gets kidnapped while you're working with Zane, one of the protagonists of the previous game. Oh, and his whole arc in this one is about him simping for a black woman. No, I'm not joking. Anyway, you go to rescue Quent, you fight your way through this dungeon, and at the end, you're actually given a time limit until he gets dropped in acid and dies. So, of course, he annoyed the shit out of me, so I let him die on purpose. I didn't even touch my mouse and keyboard for like a full minute. And, of course, the game acts like, oh my god, you did your
Hasn't
best.
been through the
This
campaign
is
for
such
Mario
a
Tennis
tragedy,
Aces.
but it's not your
Oh,
fault.
poor
It's like,
blooper,
really?
huh?
There's not even dialogue guilting the player for fucking up? This isn't player choice. There's no real consequences other than not having to hear more annoying-ass dialogue from this worthless, forgettable character. Why even put this choice in the game? Oh, and minor spoiler for the story, they bring Lilith back because she's a phoenix, so she can never really die, right? She just rises from the ashes, and she does basically nothing in the story. This feels like this was inserted late into development because people were so upset about her sacrificing herself in the last game. If anything, she's the setup for one of the secondary villains of the game. The incredibly annoying tutorial guy dies in the beginning, but actually he didn't really die. He got sent to the phase dimension and got a version of Lilith's powers, and he's, spoilers again, he's the post-credits boss, and this whole fucking subplot just adds up to nothing. Like, I don't even know why it's here. Nobody cared about RJ. Everyone forgot his name after 5 minutes. Even Claptrap
forget his name
jokes
after
about
5
that,
seconds.
yet they turn him into a villain for some reason. This plot sucks. Which, again, I wouldn't even care that the plot sucks if they didn't make us listen to it. Now, one thing that did kind of piss me off about the plot is that this
He
Karen
did warn
bitch, whose name
spoilers.
I can't
He warned
remember
spoilers,
already,
Arrow.
is
You
a
can't say he
super
didn't.
genius inventor, and it turns out she's the one who invented the mind control neck chip things, and so everything is her fault. And she's centuries old, and she suddenly had a change of heart and became a good guy for some reason. I don't know. It's horrible. Absolutely horrible. This series got rid of any and all edginess because no, gore doesn't count as edgy anymore because these are cartoon characters. This game is just deeply sanitized and incredibly forgettable. I would rather it be extremely cartoonishly woke, like Dustborn, of course, my favorite game of last year, than so forgettable and bland, and wow, it just makes the game so insufferable whenever you're not shooting something. And you know, it would be bad enough if the humor was just not funny. So yeah, Borderlands is still unfunny, it's still woke, it still has horrific pacing at certain points. But yeah, so in conclusion, should you buy Borderlands 4?
Hell no.
Dude. I mean, if you're a Borderlands fan, you
Sup,
probably
Randy?
already bought it, so there's no hope for you. But for everyone else here who is, I guess, waiting to hear my opinion, which is, you know, probably like 5 of you at most, I think the rest are here just to hear me shit on this game. No, you shouldn't buy it. Your computer can't even fucking run it. Maybe it runs fine on console, I don't know. That shit is like horrifically upscaled and half the frames are fake anyway, but console players don't give a shit. I lied in the beginning and said this would be a shitpost, and it kind of turned a little bit more into a serious analysis, but ultimately, I think Borderlands just kind of sucks. I don't think there's any logical argument you can make in favor of these games that makes them seem better than any other co-op game on the market. In terms of shooters, I'd say almost every other shooter with co-op in it is better than this. Yeah, they have less replayability, but why do you want to replay garbage? I would say a game being bad makes it inherently not replayable, don't you think? Why the hell would you ever want to subject yourself to this torture again? Maybe if you could skip every cutscene, including the ones where you just walk around and do nothing while characters talk. That's absolutely still a cutscene, by the way. Arguably the worst cutscenes. If you could skip all of that, maybe you'd have an argument for just mindlessly shooting shit. I could sort of see the appeal. But no, Borderlands sucks dick, and it always has. This series has always been overrated. I know there's contrarians who say, well, actually the first game was good. But other than the plot being more serious, does it fix any of the other problems I just named with gameplay? No. It's still a looty shooty game. What the hell, man? Do people just have no standards? This crawled up to 300,000 active players on Steam over the weekend. PC Master Race my ass. Trust me, man, there's better co-op games to play than this. I already named quite a few in this video. Lethal Company, Repo, Peak, Deep Rock Galactic. Hell, even Earth Defense Force is more fun than this. Yes, I'm serious. I'm not trying to be a contrarian. I genuinely had more fun playing Earth Defense Force 5 and 6 than this. And again, I'm sure there's going to be 100 normie comments on this video if this actually makes it into the algorithm, asking why did I bother reviewing this if I already knew I wouldn't like it? Well, the truth is, I've always wanted to shit on Borderlands since I was a teenager, because back when Borderlands 2 came out, I thought this series was incredibly overrated and boring. My mind has never changed, and I don't know, I just get a sick joy in shitting on things that normies like, you know? Sue me, dude. Obviously, I'm not delusional. I don't think making this video is going to significantly reduce the sales of the game. That's not the objective here. The objective here is to just have fun with it, because I like bitching and moaning. I feel like I've said that a bunch of times over the years, yet people seem to think I'm constantly miserable. No, it feels good to let out my rage. I have to imagine I made teenage me proud by making this video, even if it was basically slop, but Borderlands 4 is slop, so it deserves
Why can't you be
a
proud
slop
of your
review.
work? Oh, that's how he copes about
See
it.
you next time, guys.
It's okay that it's a slop video, because the game itself is slop, so it doesn't deserve a high effort video. But also, I'm proud of my work, and little me would be proud of my work as well. I agree, Kobe. I agree. I have not played Borderlands 4. I will never play Borderlands 4. That would be my response. Okay, how about this one? I don't think we watched this one on stream.
The success of Breath of the Wild has doomed
Oh, he has many
Nintendo.
personal issues,
A great
Arrow.
game.
Watch his Death Stranding 2 review, in quotes. Half the video isn't about Death Stranding. Missing nothing dingus. Borderlands is an ass franchise. I'm just not into looter shooters to begin with. And the memes certainly don't help.
The success of Breath of the Wild has doomed Nintendo. A great
Whoa, it's
game
Synthetic
with
Brother.
disastrous consequences. I know it's cool to hate on Nintendo now, but I was doing it way before it was cool. Before the Switch 2
Were you doing
came
it before
out, I
Arlo?
made a video that the Switch 2 would be
Before he
garbage,
became a
and you'll
shill?
buy it anyway. And everyone yelled at me. They said, how could you possibly hate on something you've never even touched before? It doesn't even exist yet. It's about pattern recognition. It's noticing that Nintendo has been walking down a path, starting with Breath of the Wild, that has slowly eroded the last positive quality Nintendo has left, which is good, innovative games. Innovation which they have given up on so that they can better emulate Breath of the Wild. Mario Kart needs an open world. Metroid Prime 4 has a giant open.
What was the name of the last guy? Synthetic Man. And this is a video by his brother, Lord Frogmire. Like his actual brother.
Empty desert, not because it's a new innovative direction for the series, but because it makes the games more similar to Breath of the Wild, the best-selling Zelda game of all time. And it's not close. 34 million copies. And if that doesn't sound like a lot, Skyward Sword, the Zelda game for the Wii, one of the most popular consoles of all time, sold less than 8 million copies.
They came out in 2011, at the very end of the Wii's lifespan.
An understatement. It's the kind of success that a developer may think, wow, we made a really great game here, but corporate looks at it and says, why are we making these games that don't sell well when we could just make more Breath of the Wilds that is easier to emulate than it is to innovate, to just copy what they already did and bring that success to every other Nintendo franchise. The problem is Breath of the Wild is not good because it's the greatest game ever made. It didn't sell a bajillion copies because that's the best world design or the best mechanics or the best combat. It was great because it was something new and interesting. The exploring Hyrule had never felt like this before, but Nintendo does not agree with me. That is
And
not
so,
why
just
they think
because
game
the Zelda
succeeded.
brand
Their
was
actions
attached
have
to
made
it.
clear that they think Breath of the Wild succeeded because open world games appeal to the wider audience, and they have
Yes, he is
perfected
Eternal
the
Might.
open world
He
on their
is.
first try. And
He
this
is.
belief has
I think he's a bit
already
more subtle
ruined
about it.
multiple Zelda games and will ruin the entire
2%
Switch
more
2's
subtle.
library if they continue down this
I feel like he
path.
talks
In
about the
fact,
actual
so far, it
games
already
more
has.
than
And
Synthetic
remember,
Man, whereas
game
Synthetic Man
development
Synthetic Man will just cry about like the wokeness of it, whereas I feel like Frogmire, this current saga that Frogmire is in, he talks about the games more, or more of a focus is put on the games than the political aspect of it. Damn.
Zelda games and will ruin
He said it
the
wrong.
entire Switch 2's library if they continue down this path. In fact, so far it already has. And remember, game development takes time. Between the release of Breath of the Wild and the modern day, there has been one new Mario Kart and one new Metroid game, and both have a pointless tacked on open world that ruined Mario Kart and
Hello,
will ruin Metroid. And the pointless
X-Side67,
open
welcome in.
world isn't the only thing that's been
Welcome to my neck of the woods. I'm playing Pac-Man while listening to videos. I'm specifically doing time trials, so I need something to listen to in the background so I don't go crazy.
copied straight from Breath of the Wild. The DLC practices of modern Nintendo began with this one great game. So although right now it's only every Zelda game and the new Mario Kart and the new Metroid that have been ruined by Breath of the Wild, it will soon be every Nintendo franchise. But if you don't believe me, that's the whole point of this video.
How are you gonna
So
do
before
open
we
world
get into
Fire
it,
Emblem?
Make sure to like and subscribe so you feel better about disliking and unsubscribing later. So I made a pretty big claim back there that I said Nintendo thinks Breath of the Wild was perfect, that had no flaws. Something that's pretty easy to see when we look at the sequel, Tears of the Kingdom. I mean, just think, what's the point of a sequel? Well, there's really two types. There's one where the game's completely different, like Skyward Sword to Breath of the Wild. They're nothing alike. Still Zelda, but a completely new direction for the series. And then there are incremental sequels, like Super Mario Galaxy 1 to Super Mario Galaxy 2. Basically the same type of game, just new levels, improved level design, unique challenges, is you take the original design from the original game and you try to improve it. And obviously there's everything in between, but Tears of the Kingdom is clearly in that second camp where it's the same game but attempting to improve upon it. And Breath of the Wild, despite being great, had a lot of flaws. The weapon system, exploring not feeling rewarding enough, the horrible UI, infinite healing from cooking, the dungeons feeling like an afterthought, many flaws. And of those flaws, what did Tears of the Kingdom address? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So surely then it's just more content, right? More levels. We talked about that. That's a type of sequel. No, the level, as in
yes,
the
Eternal
world,
Might. He said Tears of the Kingdom was woke because it retroactively said the Hylians were fucked by the black goat people. So, like, he had a big segment about that. But also, he admitted after the fact that he was just forcing the content for that video. Like, that was a forced complaint from him. So, you choose what to believe. Was he really upset the Hylians were brown, actually? Or was he just pretending to be mad?
The most important part of the game is exactly the same. Now, why would you do that? In what world would you make
These are his words, not mine.
And use the exact
I disavow,
same
of course.
world? No one's ever done that before, so why would you do it? It certainly wasn't a lack of time. The game took 6 years to make. Well, the only reason you would do that is if the world is perfect. They already perfected it. Breath of the Wild sold so well because the world was perfect. So why would you change it? Obviously absurd, but that's the only explanation. You know, there was a third type of sequel.
Yeah, he was trying to make it out to be like a humiliation ritual, but then when he got really shat on for that video, I guess you could make the argument that he walked it back and then in hindsight pretended like that was just a joke he came up with to have something for the video. But it's like he had shit to criticize about Tears of the Kingdom in that video aside from that little factoid. So it's not like he had to force that in there or he would have nothing to complain about the game, because he had more than enough to complain about the game. Yet he still inserted that point, and then when he got called out on that being like a regarded point, did he come up with the cope afterward? That's like, oh, I was just kind of like forcing that. I don't actually believe that it's a humiliation ritual.
I didn't talk about because it's not really a sequel and has never been treated like a sequel. It's DLC. It's taking the exact same game and adding a +1 to it. So it's Breath of the Wild plus building. It's Breath of the Wild plus Sky Islands. It's Breath of the Wild plus underground area. It's the same thing you already had with a slight add-on. Not anything new. It's the same thing that sold 34 million copies because it was perfect, plus some more to convince you to buy it again. And believe it or not, this has happened before. Maybe many times, but I can only think of one. Red Dead Redemption had a DLC pack called Undead Nightmare. So it was Red Dead Redemption plus zombies. And they sold it as a separate game. But it was $20 because everyone knew it was a DLC and they treated it like a DLC, not a $70 sequel that somehow took 6 years to make. And why this is so bad is not just because it's lazy, it's because it doesn't make sense either. The mechanics of the game do not fit the world because the world was not designed for those mechanics. In Tears of the Kingdom, you have no reason to ever traverse the ground. You can fly anywhere from anywhere using the building mechanics. So there's a mismatch between the mechanics in the world. You have this beautiful crafted world that you fly over completely ignoring. You have all these cool traversal mechanics like horses or building a car or building a boat that you never have to interact with. Stamina is still in the game and it serves no purpose because again, you're just flying over everything. But if you're flying all the time, at least you have the floating islands, which are tiny and tacked on content that is basically worthless. Just look at how small of an area the flying islands actually are compared to the content that was just stolen from Breath of the Wild. And don't even talk about the underground area. It's just empty nothingness. No one likes it. But people have complained enough about Tears of the Kingdom. Everyone knows what's wrong with that game. My point is, Tears of the Kingdom is evidence of aspects from Breath of the Wild being directly stolen and placed within another game where it does not belong, with no consideration for how those aspects affect the underlying game design and whether they belong in the first place, and it actively ruining what could have been a good game. And it worked, by the way. Not in ruining it, well, that part worked like too. Tears of the Kingdom is the second best-selling Zelda game. That's what I'm saying. A path they are going to continue going down. If you think this is a bad thing, them copying Breath of the Wild, will get used to it, because if it worked once, it's going to have to colossally fail for them to ever stop. Now, before we move on to the future of Nintendo, there's one other Zelda game ruined by Breath of the Wild. It is Echoes of Wisdom, the 2D Zelda game. A game which is not a sequel to Breath of the Wild, which makes...
Thank you, Infamous KS, the 30-bit cheer. He says, let's get some support for a dinger tries it, cough syrup. Why do I read the word cough and then I proceed to do a little hack? It's because I am a hack. Thank you for the 30 bits.
All the more distinct when it steals things directly from that game with no consideration for how it affects the game it's now in, or if it was ever good in the first place. The most glaring of which is the menu. The weapon menu is just a horizontal list of garbage that you have to cycle through every individual weapon you have to get to what you want. And they put that in a game with over 200 unique summons. Yes, you have to filter individually through 200 items to get to what you want. This is...
I think the free Switch 2 update allows you to sort things a bit better. I guess you could... Your next complaint could be that that's locked to the Switch 2 update.
What I'm talking about when I'm saying there's no consideration
I'm fine. I don't need dirty
for whether
spray.
it's good for the game they're making or if it was good in the first place. Corporate said this game has to be more like Breath of the Wild, so shove the menu in no matter how bad it is. And there's plenty more, like copying UI elements, or how every combat encounter, every puzzle can be cheesed, or how there's a cooking system for no reason which gives you infinite health in a linear 2D Zelda game. But that's enough talking about Zelda. It's not that weird for Zelda to ruin Zelda. If you really liked Link to the Past, you could argue Ocarina of Time ruined Zelda, but Breath of the Wild has infected all of Nintendo at this point. Let's talk about Pokemon for just a second. Scarlet and Violet, open worlds, I'm sure just a coincidence. An open world that Game Freak could not handle. As much as I like those games, which I really do, I thought they were fun, but they are broken to an absurd degree. Game Freak cannot handle an open world game. But everyone loved The Legends of Arceus. That was a really great game. Some people say, at least. And that was an even more blatant ripoff of Breath of the Wild. Really, the problem with Pokemon...
It was a great concept for a game. It was a great beta test game.
Open world game. But everyone loved The Legends of Arceus. That was a really great game.
It was like, oh, that was a nice alpha. Okay, where's the full game at?
Some people say, at least. And that was an even more blatant ripoff of Breath of the Wild. Really, the problem with Pokemon is the DLC stuff anyway, right? Hey, wait a second. You know, now that I'm...
No, you haven't talked to enough Pokemon fans if you think they only complain about DLC practices.
Thinking about it, didn't Breath of the Wild have DLC? Yeah, actually it received DLC only 3 months after the game came out. Something we're now complaining about Nintendo doing.
It was okay when Breath of the Wild did it.
Far too early, making it clear that this is cut content. Now, 3 months isn't as bad as 1.3 months, but that's the theme of the video. The same thing, but even worse. And what was in that DLC? A couple side quests, one new small area, and Master Mode. And what is Master Mode? Well, it's the same game, except enemies are a little bit stronger. Things are a little tougher. You know, kind of like a hard mode, or maybe a new game plus. Something that is considered standard in
They
every
locked
other
hard
game.
mode behind
So
paid DLC, and people swept for it.
In the audience. Breath of the Wild is the origin of Nintendo releasing 2 early DLCs that make you pay money for standard gameplay features and cut.
Did I play any of whatever he's talking about? No. I have not played a single Switch Pokemon that wasn't a spin-off game.
Content. So Nintendo's current arc of trying to bleed its fans dry as much as possible should not be a surprise. You should have seen it coming. I was right all along, but we spent enough time talking about the past. It's time to talk about now and into the future. Mario Kart World, a bad game, or perhaps a good game ruined by bad ideas. It has good mechanics, good art style.
Oh, you meant the DK DLC? I haven't played it yet.
fun characters, and a tacked-on open world that actively ruins the multiplayer and nobody wants to interact with because it's completely empty. And I'll admit it, I was actually a little excited for this game. I saw the open world and thought, hey, that might be cool, because I wasn't thinking of Breath of the Wild. This is not an innovative idea. This is not the first multiplayer racing open world. It's not even close to the first. Burnout, The Crew, Forza, but those games are lame. They're realistic racing with real cars, not bing bing woohoo, man. So I was excited. Too bad Mario Kart World isn't like those games. No chasing, no missions, no on-the-spot exciting races, nothing. Instead, you get worthless coin collecting missions or driving through rings, because we can't copy those other games, because the thought was never, Forza's a popular series, let's do Forza except with Mario. It was Breath of the Wild has an open world. That game sold super well, so now Mario Kart needs an open world. And we're Nintendo, we're the best. We can't look at anyone else for inspiration. No, in fact, we're just gonna copy the Breath of the Wild map one for one, because it was the greatest map ever made, apparently. That's why the game sold so well, right? So we can't just reuse it.
You can't look to other games for inspiration. But if they did literally copy Forza, wouldn't he just then accuse them of copying Forza instead of being more innovative?
The Zelda franchise, we have to reuse it in Mario Kart 2. You see, making a good sequel is about iteration, but Nintendo has never been that good at iterating. They're good at innovating, but this isn't innovation. It's copying off of a game they've never even played. If they had played a Forza game or a Burnout game or The Crew, they would know to make the open world interesting, you need real missions. But the goal was never to make a good open world racing game. It was to make Mario Kart more like Breath of the Wild, a decision that already sounds absurd, but is made far more crazy when you realize that Mario Kart 8 sold way more than Breath of the Wild did. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for the Switch sold 68 million copies. There is no wider audience.
Day stream time slot after Pac-Man, probably Luigi Galaxy.
If anything, they need to make Zelda more like Mario Kart. But for some reason, Breath of the Wild is the golden goose. It's the perfect child. So if they're willing to do this to Mario Kart, something that already is successful, there is no hope for the other Nintendo franchises. Mark my words, you're finally going to get an F-Zero game, and it's going to be open world. And speaking of games, people have always
F-Zero will be the one that they turn into Forza Horizon.
By an open world, it's time to talk about Metroid Prime 4. Now, most people agreed with me on this, that this is the worst thing ever, and the moment they saw it, they were instantly disappointed with the game. But I did get a little pushback, the most absurd of which is that Metroid has always been open world, because apparently there's no difference between tight, linear level design that...
Resident Evil 2 going? I am enjoying it. I was just very tired by the end of the last stream. I knew I wasn't going to be able to beat it in one stream, you know, being the first time going through, but I do like it. I said my controversial opinions, I suppose, over to Saru. I don't think the RPD Raccoon Police Department is as strong as as strong of a dungeon as the Spencer Mansion. I suppose the sweep would be that the Spencer Mansion is the Spencer Mansion is you know, you're there for a longer part of the game versus Raccoon PD, which that's just the first segment of that whole game. And I think it's far more linear than the Spencer Mansion was, in that you have to get the keys, the club, spade, diamond, heart key in the set order, whereas the keys and emblems in Resi 1, outside of, I believe, the helmet key, you can get whatever order that you want.
Loops into each other, so multiple linear paths that connect, and a giant empty open desert where you use a motorcycle to traverse through empty nothingness to points of interest.
It certainly is an
Those
iconic area, though.
Same thing. I
No
also
denying that.
like lying on the internet. The other
I'll try to beat it maybe tomorrow night.
They never liked Metroid. and
I
now
will do
they're
all the
actually excited for
playthroughs,
it.
all the
Why?
runs.
Who knows? I guess they really are that wider audience. What I never understood is how people have no issue with ruining things for someone else. That Metroid fans haven't had Metroid Prime in so long, and they're finally excited excited to get a new one. And you see no problem with the fact that that game is ruined for those people so that you, someone who doesn't even like Metroid, might enjoy it. Might. You probably won't, because people like that have no soul. And if you have no soul, you can't enjoy anything. You just kind of bump around through life, a brainless tumbleweed with no autonomy of your own. But anyway, although just a wild guess, I now firmly believe that Metroid Prime 4 was a perfectly serviceable game, and the development was restarted specifically to make the game more like Breath of the Wild. I have no proof of this, and I do not care. It's just too convenient. Breath of the Wild, massive success. Prime 4 was supposed to be an early, maybe mid-Switch game. Then, oops, all that work down the drain. Or maybe it wasn't intentional. Maybe they had to restart anyway, but if we're restarting, might as well head in a new direction. Perhaps a Breath of the Wild direction. A horrible, despicable direction I've been talking about this whole video. A direction driven by corporate greed. People who don't even understand video games.
It's greed.
Who just see, ooh, big sales number. Do the same as that, but again, and we already know it's going to be bad. It will be bad like Mario Kart because it's tacked on. It's put in at the expense of the game design. Metroidvanias do not work with giant empty sandboxes. They're designed for incremental progression and backtracking. You're not going to want to backtrack
Sore Throat Gaming.
to a giant empty desert. There's a reason Breath of the Wild gives you all of the tools at once. A normal Zelda game, every time you complete a dungeon, you get a new tool. That does not work for an open world, but that is the primary design of Metroidvanias. It's getting a new power and seeing the new areas unlocked by that power. So which are we gonna do? We don't know. All I know is it won't be done well. They will not accommodate the different game design principles. Then open world, you need all the tools from the start. And a Metroidvania where you need to incrementally get new tools to unlock new areas. They will pick one and they will mess it up. And I know that for a fact because they already messed it up in Mario Kart World, where they refused to change the game design, so the open world was pointless and the online multiplayer was actively ruined by boring straight line tracks only included because of the open world. And then Tears of the Kingdom that had distinct gameplay from Breath of the Wild that allowed for increased movement and was not accommodated for by the open world at all. So how am I supposed to believe that they will somehow solve what seems like an impossible game design problem between do whatever you want open world gameplay and the power-up driven exploration of Metroidvanias that lock off areas intentionally to make new power-ups, new items, new weapons feel more rewarding to acquire? What I'm really worried about is they're going to completely sacrifice the feeling of getting a new beam cannon and unlocking a new area for the open world, which misses the point of Metroidvanias entirely and is one of the biggest flaws of Breath of the Wild, is that exploration, although very good in that game,
desert's gonna
it
be an
doesn't
open
feel
zone,
rewarding.
like
You
Hyrule
never
Field.
get anything cool, and they're gonna do that to Metroid too. It's just a guess, and I really, really hope it's wrong, but I have the feeling that new areas won't be locked off by new beams or new suits. They might even take them out of the game entirely or give them all to you from the start, all in service of that do whatever you want and go wherever you want gameplay. And the only thing to find will be missile expansions and health expansions. And they'll tell you it's better. There will be people day one saying, this is the first Metroid game I like. Well, they're ruining it for the people who actually like the franchise. You don't have to make a Metroid game. If you're going to make a Metroid game, at least let it be a Metroid game. You can make any type of game you want. Maybe have a new IP for once, but they can't have new ideas. Nintendo isn't about new ideas anymore. It's about copying what worked. Well, it's not working anymore. At least I hope not. Please stop buying these. So anyway, Metroid's going to be bad. I'm sorry to say it. I really wanted it to be good. And I'd say get used to this. Game development takes a long time, so they'll need a lot of failures before they stop making games like Breath of the Wild. So even if they learn their lesson with Mario Kart
old
World,
Zoomer
or maybe
yells at
Tears of the
Cloud.
Kingdom, we still might get 2, maybe even 3 Breath of the Wild likes that are terrible. So I'm looking forward to those. And given not many games even come out anymore, there's a good chance the Switch 2 might be a generation of flops. 1, maybe 2 good games on the whole console, but we'll see. Maybe it's not as bad as I think. I doubt it though. This will probably be the last Nintendo video in a while. Maybe I'll finally make that Pokemon fan game video. Who knows? Anyway, bye.
It was not, in fact, the last Nintendo video, because he put out the Pokemon video like a week later. It's an hour long, though. I don't think I have it in me to watch it today. Metroid will probably be a decent game, but that's actually my biggest fear about it, is that it just ends up being decent or average for a game that people have waited so long for. It'd be quite unfortunate if it's just a very safe, by-the-numbers title. Though, knowing what little we know about the scrapped version probably would have been not really that much different. Probably would have also been a safe and by-the-numbers title. Fuck. I gotta bounce off that one. Frogmire's doing what works. Every video has to be anti-Nintendo, like every game by Nintendo's Breath of the Wild open world. Exactly, Nintendo's doing what works. So too must Lord Frogmire do what works. Alright, what do we got left? I think I can go maybe another 30 minutes. Oh yeah! I never watched this one. We're gonna segue from gaming to drama. A little old drama, a little drama that needs to be reheated, put into microwave. That kind of drama. If you feel better tomorrow, Dingus, I'll try. I probably should brew some tea before I clock in.
I know what you're thinking. Really? Another Call of Shame video? What is there to talk about? Well, technically, this isn't a Call of Shame video, because Call of Shame is no more. He has rebranded as The Divine Anchor, and his handle is at
He's a
Grace
fake
to
channel.
God. And what videos of his
He's
remained
going down
after
the
his
Sun
hiding
Brand
spree
Studios route.
have now all been privated. He has also deleted all of his community posts. Probably a smart move, given how compulsively he lies. Replies he made in his comment sections were littered with contradictions, going back years. But how exactly did we get here? At the start of this month, people with more limited reach like Boren, Struth Gaming, myself, and others were pointing out multiple problems with this guy. Quick funny fact, by the way, my video would have been earlier if not for my Poland vacation, and later if not for the cancelled flight at the end of it, which let me finish looking into stuff during the long waits, instead of doing it once I was back home. Seems like everyone who made a video went for a different approach. Personally, I went for provocation. Because I knew about Call of Shame's more overt religious and anti-woke past, I did a bit of purity testing, hoping he'd be dumb enough to clash with me. Sadly, he wasn't, and dodged entirely. Instead, picking Boren's video at random to respond to and ignore most of. He also added terms like my username, Boren, Supergirl. I have to imagine he must have added Struth as well, but I didn't check. He added all of these to his channel blacklist, so that any comments containing these phrases would be held
It's
for
like Muda
approval.
blacklisting
He
the
also
word
heavily
engineer.
censored his comment section manually.
Well, he really
also
escaped that
announced the channel
controversy
that was
with, like,
previously
no damage done, huh?
supposedly an entire team was now, as of the last couple months, just him, and that he was previously more just a background research and programming guy, despite, for the whole time, the channel relying solely on his credentials to present himself as an authority. Everything stated on the channel was backed up by the idea it was coming from him. So even if the team isn't a lie, he's the only one that ever mattered. And the idea that he can just wash the past away is bullshit. But unfortunately, given that no one with large enough reach was hitting—
They did do that for Dragon Quest XI. It does have a 2D version and a 3D version. And I think when they ported it, they removed that? I forget. There's like one, they ported it to something and the 2D version didn't make the cut. I forget.
him, he was gonna get away with it. Enough people would be unaware. It wouldn't break containment. Shortly after these smaller videos, Call of Shame announced that he was moving and wouldn't be able to make videos for a while, and that he was gonna rework the channel a bit. During this time, I also got a DM from Carl Jobst asking for sources of some of the
That
things
guy.
I shared in videos, and I also provided him with a few more funny links, such as his claim that Supergirl
He's working with
was
Carl
actually
Jobst!
2 girls, and it had from from Carl Jobst, asking for sources of some of the things I shared in videos, and I also provided him with
Carl Jobst put out his video and it just steals homework from Harmful Opinions. I'm glad to have that confirmed here.
a few more funny links, such as his claim that Supergirl was actually 2 girls and it had nothing to do with the Call of Shame channel at all. Fast forward to a couple of days ago, and Carl finally drops his video. It's a more comprehensive approach that covers everything myself and others saw, and adds some more. It's also been viewed by hundreds of thousands of people, and was much harder to ignore. For a while, Call of Shame merely attempted to delete the comments of people bringing up the content of that video. He then posted a Catholic prayer in his community tab, and finally made this now deleted announcement. For the past 5 years, this channel has been a leading voice against cheating in video games like Call of Duty. I guess popular enough on YouTube, not exactly effective, but I'll give that to him. Producing hundreds of videos exposing cheating streamers with undeniable evidence. Maybe that happened once or twice, but I've watched enough Call of Shame to know that an example of his undeniable evidence has been in the past that someone used a Logitech brand mouse, or Logic mouse as he called it.
That's a wireless mouse, that's what I use for gaming, and I actually love that mouse.
I bet you do. Let's take a look at the official Logic website. You have the ability to load scripts into it via the hub. This is why you will always find a streamer with a Logic mouse.
All of them?
This can be loaded with
all of them. You'll never not find a streamer using a Logitech mouse. They all use Logitech mouse. Is that mouses? When you're talking about the computer mouse, would you say mice as a plural? Shut up!
You will always find a streamer with a Logic mouse. This can be loaded with an anti-recoil script.
Almost as good evidence as someone playing on PC.
The box puzzle was dented, but not as dented as Anne doing the math puzzle in the power room. Thank you. Oh, the 36 and the switches, the flip, actually like doing the math for the switches to get to 80. I was just flipping shit at random. The pattern was a bit too easy though. They could have mixed it up. It's like up, down, up, down, up. That's it's too easy. Maybe is it different on a harder difficulty?
Where you can download cheats. Incredible sleuthing. He's a real loss to the hacker hunter community. Every claim was backed by receipt.
No, Coggers is just sweeping for my bad gameplay last night. It was just really, really bad. By the end of it, I was tired and sick, and I wasn't in the best headspace, guys. Oh, wait a minute, Dingus, no! I didn't really even want to, part of me didn't want to end the stream, but it was also like, well, this game's like a masterpiece. I probably owe it to the viewers to play it when I'm not fucking zonked out of my mind.
Will accept any claim about your work history, gaming achievements, expertise, and so on, unless we're counting random useless pictures as receipts now. Never baseless claims, and rooted in the belief that everyone is entitled to their opinion to open, fair debates, unless you don't like the comment and delete it, or have blacklisted that topic from your channel. You see, free speech has its limits, and talking about Supergirl and your weird trans roleplay cheating using a little boy's voice is one of them, apparently. The Call of Shame brand was built to amplify the voices of its contributors using an AI voice to share their perspectives. However, recent events have led me to question the purpose of this channel. An example of this was the permanent ban of a streamer, Adrian, followed by his unbanning due to another streamer's influence over game developers, exposed the troubling dynamic.
Yeah, Anne's first experience with Resi 2 was through playing a modded version, a modded randomizer version.
Within the Call of Duty community. First off, nice trademark Call of Shame, slightly janked English. Secondly, what about your software though? What about the tech? Welp, another streamer got unbanned. Time to abandon my life's work, even though I have a revolutionary, industry-changing piece of software, which I've claimed will be in major titles soon. Okay, buddy. Another example was the backlash after our video accurately exposed a cheating transgender streamer revealed what I can only describe as dark and demonic forces at work. Accurately exposed while making contradictory statements. Whether Riley's cheating or not, your coverage is all fucked up, brother. Like he even weasels on the certainty. Call of Shame 100% proved that the Catboy is cheating, right? Well, he doesn't think so. There is no way to be sure. Just his opinion, bro. Funnily enough, one of the few
killing
times
normal
he said
zombies with a
something
magnum
that's
was goated.
absolutely
Thank you.
correct. And secondly, I don't want to hear anything about demons from Call of Shame. You are a nameless, faceless fabrication that claims to be Legion. You shapeshift into women, you shapeshift.
No, he played Cerulean's Resident Evil mod. Dent in all caps.
into children. No, Call of Shame. You are the demons. Radical left-wing groups quickly sprung to life. You're not being hunted by an Antifa cell. You picked a fight with someone who has friends, which might be unfamiliar to you, and you got a bunch of attention. Your target was a transgenderoid and you're not playing the pronoun game, so of course you're gonna get this reaction. There's no conspiracy. Welcome to breaking containment. Welcome to people outside of an echo chamber seeing your shit. They instantly started to spread lies, use manipulated clips, edited screenshots, faked tweets. Those embarrassing tweets I used are 100% real and you can go check yourself. Attempted doxing. What do you mean by this? Did someone drop a failed dox? Or do you consider people checking your credentials to be attempted doxing? And falsely accused me of things I never said or did. Like what? They claim you fabricated a ban email? Cause you did.
They claim that he's
There
friends
was
with people in
also
the
a real
FBI.
one, but for some reason you reproduced it with different formatting using AI in a way that makes it look inauthentic and has errors. I personally don't blame people for being confused by that. Very weird. With the latest accusations coming from someone named Carl, who used my brand so he could indirectly attack Asmongold and Tectone. You mean he went off on
That
them
was
for
what he
bigging
took
you
away
up
from
when you were a
that? He
total
just-
fraud?
Oh,
In
I
which
get it.
case, good. Carl is a proven liar.
He wants to turn Asmongold on Carl Jobst because Carl Jobst already had segments on Asmongold in the last Riley CS video he put out.
And was actually sued just last year and discredited in a court of law for lying about Billy
Is he,
Mitchell.
he's trying to
I
like
think Carl was
get
just
Asmongold and Tectone to be his attack dogs?
when you're a total fraud. In which case, good. Carl is a proven liar and was actually sued just last year and discredited in a court of law for lying about Billy Mitchell. I think Carl was deceptive about some things around that. I've actually been quite mean about him for hours and hours on my live stream. The whole retraction at the end of a video thing is insane as well. However, the things he's saying about you are true.
I like how he works with Carl Jobst but then still says, yeah, that guy's a bastard. I don't like him actually.
I have some quibbles on some of his characterizations and exact opinions, but the facts of the matter, we
Oh,
can go
I
and
could
check
be better.
ourselves. Unless, of course, you're going to debunk all that, and there's been some sort of trick. Are you going to do that, Call of Shame? I considered creating a detailed debunking video to counter every...
And there's my coffee. This current video we're watching, Moxie Cat, is a derivative. It's derived from the Riley CS controversy. It's investigate the investigators, accuse the accusers, of which Call of Shame was one of the accusers, but also they have their own snakes. So it's not really we're still litigating the cat boy, the cat they them thing. And now we're just litigating the accusers themselves because like the accuser is like some other fucking weirdo. Like he has his own skeletons. I mean, it's Pac-Dot.
false claim with facts and evidence. But after stepping away from the internet for the past 2 weeks while I was moving house, God has lifted the veil and opened my eyes. Well, you know, I would prove you wrong, but God said no. God himself saw fit to intervene in the affairs of a Call of Duty hacker hunter and warn him not to prove that he isn't full of shit. Was this like burnt into a piece of toast or what? Did it just say fuck them haters, love Jesus? Engaging in this cycle of reaction video slop drama only fuels negativity. Unlike the rest of your catalog, okay? With people reacting to reactions, easily misled
Isn't his
by
content
lies
reacting
without
to COD
understanding the
streamers
full
and then
context.
determining if they're cheaters
which would be a
or
good
not?
reason to provide the full context. You gave the game away. People are easily misled when there's a lack of information. That's why I'm not going to give you more information. Self-inflicted kill shot. These individuals exploit my brand for clicks to feed their empty lifestyles, and I refuse to give them that power. 1. Jobst, for instance, didn't even put you in the thumbnail or title. 2. You're slinging accusations of an empty lifestyle when you've committed your life to catching cheaters in a digital toy. So worthless is this wasted half-decade of yours that you've just willingly wiped it away in seconds, in fact. I will no longer make videos debunking or engaging with the drama in this toxic, filthy scene. I keep getting the vibe that Call of Shame's been a woman all along. Like trans, but in the opposite way to the Supergirl thing. A woman pretending to be a man, pretending to be a woman using a little boy's voice. If you take 2 weeks away from the internet, as I did, you'll understand what I mean. I strongly encourage everyone to take 2 weeks away from this scene. You didn't even really do that. I saw you doing stuff on your channel, man. I recently put out a poll, and the response was clear. Most of you agree that this channel has been giving these frauds a platform, amplifying their presence rather than truly holding them accountable. So it is laughable to think that he contributed to the audience in any meaningful way of most of the people he's covered. But with Riley, yeah, I said it before, your piss-poor accusations just gave a weirdo a shot at an online career. Moving forward, I no longer intend to give them a large platform.
I'll get a shot at the online career if LTG ever beefs with me.
Views or monetization, I never have. You take sponsorships. You've had affiliate links. That's a lie. Flat out. Bullshit. I've grown to dislike making these videos, producing the same content exposing cheaters who are undeniably guilty, except when he then clarifies and says it's just his opinion. It's become tiresome and repetitive. What, after only a couple months? Because remember, he said he was just a researcher in the background and he mostly just was coding anti-cheats and stuff. It's only recently he's been the person making the videos.
Yeah, I tried to say Call of Shame was a team operation.
It's been a grueling experience, constantly watching and listening to these streamers and
Pirate Software tried that same cope too, where they act like, oh, it's not a one-man operation, we're part of a team. Like, I think it was Pirate Software responding to someone calling him out for moderating comments, and he was like, oh, we are going to look into this, we this, we that. It's the Review Tech USA cope, where he acts like Review Tech USA is a foundation. It's not a company, you are Review Tech USA. You're the one.
creators for years, and it has taken a heavy toll on my soul. Very intense Hassan talking about streaming energy. I don't really use this term, but the guy's a genuine snowflake. Watching, making fun of, and accusing streamers of stuff has worn you down on a spiritual level? Shut up! The relentless cycle also led other creators on this channel to walk away a few months ago. I thought he claimed it was creative differences. Based on many of your comments, I know it hasn't been healthy for some of you either. And by the way, I think my channel is poison.
No,
what is this?
I'm not a 20-man operation.
Straight up Care Bear derangement.
A one
While
dingus
I'm
show.
deeply grateful for the connections I've made with many of you in the comments, some of whom I now consider friends, this channel's current path is no longer sustainable or fulfilling. Here it comes. I've been exploring new directions for this channel. You've likely noticed my polls over the past month asking for your input on potential content ideas. At the time when his community posts were up, I checked for polls. There were polls. There was nothing that would indicate going in this direction though. Let me be clear. I'm not changing the channel because we've run out of material. There's enough drama and content in the Call of Duty community to fuel videos for months. Just months, but it's steeped in a deeply toxic and demonic influence.
How can he act like he's above the drama when his content is drama that he's calling out cheaters? Perhaps you can morally twist it for that to be a justifiable position, but it is like inherently drama. I would call what Carl Jobs does drama as well, all the same. I am above the drama, I'm above these slot tubers making videos about me. Yes, but I am doing the morally right thing by calling out all the Pajit cheaters using Logitech mouses.
I believe God is calling me to share something far more meaningful and productive, which I'll elaborate on later in this statement. That's right, AI content farms for Christ. But here's where it goes from being your run-of-the-mill grift pivot to something I think is much more obscene. The tragic murder of Charlie Kirk has shifted my perspective on the world greatly. There are far greater forces at play than the drama surrounding Call of Duty and its streamers. No shit. Who treat the game as their god. They are lost to their god, and I no longer want to be dictated by this toxic, demonic realm. Many people have been spurred into all sorts of action by the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Call of Shame has been inspired to save people from video games, while sort of being the opposite of Charlie Kirk. No matter your opinion of the guy in general, it's absolutely undeniable that he wasn't a coward. He knew what happened could have happened, and he went out there, fuck him, didn't let fear undermine his mission. He also actively sought interlocutors to argue and discuss with. Everything about Charlie that I think anyone can agree agree is good, respectable, brave, impressive, whatever, regardless of your political or religious opinions, universally good traits are the polar opposite of what this comment section censoring AI slop mill represents. Call of Shame, or the Divine Anchor. You are not honoring Charlie's memory. You are holding up his body as a shield. Charlie's murder is not what's inspired you to hide everything, bunker down, and change direction suddenly so you can cope and claim the haters just are against religion, when what you've done is suddenly fed people a bunch of content they didn't fucking subscribe for in any way. They didn't pay a membership to see. I'd wager even your most religious followers don't want to be sermonized to by Reverend Lionel Preachbot. Moving forward, this channel will focus on sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ. As a lifelong Roman Catholic, I've never felt closer to God than I do now.
What's gonna happen is he's gonna rebrand the channel, change the name, change the avatar, upload a video, people look at their sub box and see a channel they don't recognize, unsub. That'll be the actual net effect of whatever this is.
And I believe he is calling me to share his message on this platform. Specifically, Call of Shame. God doesn't want you to make a second channel. He needs you to turn your Hacker Hunter channel into a gospel channel. My videos will explore the gospels, salvation, and current events from a Christian perspective. Personally, I'm not religious, but I know a bunch of you guys are. Is this who you want to hear about that from? I am not a bigot or a racist.
No, I want to hear about it from a fat white Canadian.
What an odd thing to say. I stand firmly on the foundation of Jesus Christ, and the corpse of Charlie Kirk apparently, and will not compromise this for anyone. And I feel very confident and not afraid to say that. This claim will become funny later. Our boy is in fact not very confident. I know this shift may cost me subscribers. Classic statement from someone who doesn't care, by the way. But if that's the price for speaking about the Lord, so be it. This is always weird to me. You sub to someone because you want to see more of their videos, for whatever reason, based on really liking one video or based on seeing what they've been doing. It's not your power level, it's how many people want to see what you put out. And my understanding is, correct me if I'm wrong, it's actually bad to have a bunch of subscribers who aren't there for what you're putting out now, because YouTube treats them like a focus group. If you put out a video and your subscribers don't click it, you're less likely to get pushed in the algorithm. They're not a generic resource. It's not just bigger number better, except maybe for your ego. In which case, you'd see it as a loss that people disappear when you start changing things up. The tragic death of Charlie Kirk has underscored the importance of love, truth, and Jesus Christ. My goal is to produce straightforward, accessible videos grounded in scripture, thoughtfully addressing arguments from a Christ-centered perspective. I think this is the prompt he's going to give Grok as well. I will tackle controversial topics that Christians often shy away from, guided unwaveringly by the truth of God's word. Biblically proving with scripture that controller is better than keyboard and mouse. What do you mean? Are you going to be the...
What is he talking about? Call of Shame is gonna save the world somehow.
Catholic Andy Pants?
With
If
Roman
my videos
Catholicism.
can lead even one person to Christ from the gaming scene,
And really
it will
bad
all be
English.
worth it. Haters will always hate, no matter what anyone does. But I hold no hatred for anyone. Well, you're a bigger
I don't
man
got
than
no hate in my heart,
because I
man.
hate you for being a massive lying fraud. My videos will be very controversial, but some things must be talked about. I don't hate people. I want to save them. I hope you'll join me on this new journey. There are a lot of Christians already on this channel who know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, they don't want to hear that shit from you.
May the Lord Jesus Christ be kind to all of you. Little Bible quote and then video coming tomorrow or Monday. And come
When
the
I hear
video
it from
did.
Joel
Now, I was
Osteen.
expecting something about race or transgenderism or something like that. That's normally what people go for when they go, I'm super religious, I'm not a bigot, I'm not racist, my videos will be controversial, blah blah blah. But no, he meant witchcraft and demons. If you go to his channel, however, you will note that you can no longer watch this video. This is because he got absolutely shit on by very confused subscribers, many of whom
Exactly
thought he was
what I
hacked
said would
or
happen.
sold his channel. Though in a freshly updated bio,
Were you
Call of
hacked,
Shame
bro?
seems
What
to be
happened?
claiming that it was merely
What
a
channel
test
is this?
video.
Bro, what
No
is this
problem, though,
video?
because I saved a copy, and there's
Lol,
less to
when
look
did
at
I
than
sub
you'd
to this
think, because
channel?
more than a third of it is just a clip of Megyn Kelly. Even then, though, I'm not going to watch the whole thing. The poor boy clearly doesn't want people to see it, but I will pick out some highlights. So this video is about an article published on Jezebel that was written by someone who claimed to have paid witches on Etsy to curse Charlie Kirk. But the way he
Oh, I
introduces
saw that
this
article.
is very strange, almost inhumanly odd, while at the same time being too dumb to be AI. Let me show you.
Jezebel, a liberal website, is reported to have arranged this curse against Charlie Kirk by using witchcraft.
Is reported to? You've got it right there. The article on Jezebel. It's just awkward and weird. And my suspicion is that his writing is a combination of him and AI. He's mentioned before in comments how he uses voice transcription software. He's also stated that he always uses AI to check for grammar. My personal theory, I think he uses voice to text and then runs that through an AI for a rewrite. It's also possible that he's using Filmora and the current AI voice is a modified clone of his, which I don't think should be considered to be his voice by any means. This is a model of my voice created by Filmora. As you can hear, some properties are similar to my actual voice, but it is hardly a clone. Just some fun theory crafting though, I don't know. There are backups of the whole thing you can watch yourself, but the summary is, witches are real, demons are real, the hex was real, but it was countered by a Catholic priest the night before, so him getting shot was a coincidence. Not exactly what people subscribed to Call of Shame to see, but he does at the end try to explain why he shifted.
I've witnessed jealousy, evil, and even demonic influence within
Why
the
did the
gaming
voice
industry.
change?
Pictured as Call of Shame getting absolutely groped by the comment section while pretending to be a woman.
And I never realized just how many people were lost. I saw how many people are consumed by hate, and their attention narrowed down to nothing more than a video game.
Yes, that's the entire basis of your channel's success for 5 years. I don't believe you've only just realized that.
Through these videos, my hope is not only to strengthen your faith, but also to reach the lost and bring them closer to God.
As a non-religious individual, I have to say, this ain't what's gonna do it. In fact, I find this to be utterly fucking repulsive, especially his cynical use of Charlie Kirk. Here we go, rebrand, video 1, Charlie Kirk in thumbnail, let's go. Can't take a dump on me now, can ya? Look at my shield. But most people weren't interested, see through it, or are utterly perplexed. Now, of course, there are people who were deeply affected and motivated by the assassination of Charlie Kirk. This ain't one of them. This is a fucking freak using it. Rushing a rebrand and rushing out a video immediately after getting called out and nailed. Using the Halloween stock footage to talk about Charlie Kirk's assassination and his wife's war against the witches. Absolutely vile, unmitigated, self-serving, fraudulent garbage. Slapped together by a coward. Not much else to say. Thanks for watching. You might notice streams are on and off. I've got a bit of a health issue at the moment that has episodes of shortness of breath. Been checked, I'm not in danger or anything, and it seems like it's slowly getting better. It's just I can't talk very easily when it happens. And it gets worse in the evening, which is when I can stream. So hopefully that'll be sorted out soon. Anyway, have a nice day.
Pretty good video. Call of Shame is exposed, and there's no update. This video's a few days old. Call of Shame hasn't come back, so I guess he's gonna stay on the Roman Catholicism rift. He stopped mentioning, can a video continue without mentioning Charlie Kirk at least once every minute? But to be fair, Call of Shame was the one bringing him up as the alleged reasoning for how he saw the light and was gonna rebrand his content. Really, that was just a convenient current event that happened. Very convenient excuse for him to change the content while having something to point to say that this is the reason why he's rebranding, and it's totally not because he got called out by Harmful Opinions and Carl Jobst and all these other YouTubers for his very dented, I guess, everything. Yeah, because he argues that he has friends in high places, he has FBI friends, he exposes cheaters, but also it's his opinion, but also they're objectively cheating because they use Logitech mouses, and the cat dayed them. They exposed the cat dayed them, but then also gave them attention, leading to them having a chance at having popularity in the future and having people talk about them. How did I miss an orange here? Alright, I have mentioned this person before. This is the True Crime segment. This might be the last video. The True Crime segment. Very brief. This is a Twitch streamer. All of this guy's videos are formatted in the way that we are about to see. You could say that he's a template video. He's a template creator. All of his videos use the same template. This is about that David guy. If you know, you know, and if you don't know, you won't know now. This is my latest true crime fixation. Dr. Todd Grande.
Well, this is Dr. Grande.
Yeah, see, look, he's Dr. Todd. There he is. It's Dr. Todd. Musician David faces scrutiny after dead teenager found in his Tesla? David Burke case analysis. I just like his name, Dr. Todd Grande. He doesn't look Hispanic. He's white. That's the whitest cracker I ever did see.
Today I will analyze the case of David Burke. First I'll look at the background of this case, move to the timeline of the incident, then offer my analysis. David Anthony Burke was born on March 28, 2005
Look at that hair!
in the New York City borough of Queens. Eventually, his family moved to Houston, Texas, where he was homeschooled after completing the 7th grade. In 2021, after being inspired by a few different rappers, David started creating what he referred to as music. He used the name D4VD.
What he referred to as music.
As David.
Oh no.
I pronounce it as D4VD because the number 4 is pronounced 4 and
yeah,
the
it's an
I
old
is
video.
Missing.
I'm
Confusing
behind.
the
Everything
number
I'm
4
reacting
and
to
the
is
letter
old.
A can become problematic in life. For example, how would David pronounce the 4th hole while playing golf? At first, David's music was designed to score videos of him playing the game Fortnite, which he released on his YouTube channel. In July 2022, one of his singles, which was titled Romantic Homicide, went viral on a social media platform called TikTok.
Is that going to be some foreshadowing there?
David signed a deal with a record label. This same month, he released another single.
Corpse in his
titled
Tesla
Here
was his
With Me.
girlfriend or something?
This song reached number 60 on the Billboard Hot 100. In 2023, David released an extended play album titled Pedal to Thorns, followed by a second EP titled Lost Petals. In April 2025, he released his first studio album titled Withered. It reached number 13 on the Billboard 200 chart. In August of that year, he started the Withered World Tour, which was supposed to run through December 2025, but his plans were derailed. This brings me to the timeline of the incident. On September 8, 2025, the police were called to an impound lot called Hollywood Tow, which is located on Mansfield Avenue in the Hollywood Hills neighborhood of Los Angeles, California. The staff at the business reported that a 2023 Tesla Model Y was emanating a foul odor and attracting flies. The vehicle had been towed from the Hollywood Hills neighborhood 3 days earlier, on September 5. In the front trunk of the vehicle, sometimes referred to as a frunk, the police found a severely decomposed body wrapped in a plastic bag. The body was identified as belonging to a 15-year-old named Celeste Rivas Hernandez from Lake Elsinore.
I guess the fans swept for
On
that.
April 5,
Just like with the
2024,
dog collar.
When Celeste was 13 years old, she had been reported missing. The Tesla was registered to David Burke and had a Texas license plate. It was registered in the city of Hempstead, Texas.
Order
The vehicle
Wingstop,
was towed
Zookie Wookie.
from Bluebird Avenue in the Hollywood Hills because it had been
Bluebird
parked there
Avenue?
for over 72 hours. Bluebird Avenue is just 400 feet away from a house where David lived, which was rented by his manager. This 4,300 square foot house, located at 1368 Doe Honey Place, is valued at $4.7 million. It rents for $14,000 a month. Neighbors reported that the Tesla had been moved several times, starting as far back as May 2025, before ending up on Bluebird Avenue where it was towed. Sometimes it was parked directly in front of the house where David lived. On September 17, 2025, the police searched David's house and seized a computer as well as other items. David Burke canceled the remaining shows for his Withered World Tour. He was supposed to release the deluxe version of his album Withered, but that release was suspended. In other bad news for David, the clothing brand Hollister and the footwear company Crocs removed him from a new ad campaign.
Had a collab with Crocs?
At the time I'm making this video, no charges have been filed in this case. The police have stated that David Burke is cooperating with the investigation.
Aw,
The
see,
death
he
of
didn't do
Celeste
anything
Rivas
wrong.
Hernandez
I bet it was some
has
racist
not
white
yet been
person that
ruled
put the body in the
a
front.
homicide. Now moving to my analysis. Here are my thoughts on a few areas that stood out to me.
If he did it, why is he so cooperative with the case? Riddle me this, Batman.
In this case, item number 1.
Why would
Some
you help
reports
the
indicate that
popo?
the body of Celeste
if
was
you did it?
dismembered, but other reports use the term not intact. This is an important detail because if her body was dismembered, that strongly points toward homicide. The not intact description could be used when a body disintegrates due to decomposition, which means she may not have been dismembered. The delay in calling this a homicide may be related to how the authorities have had difficulty determining the cause of death. Even if they can never figure this out, it is reasonable to believe that Celeste was murdered. Her body was found in a plastic bag in a vehicle that had been moved frequently. Those circumstances are pretty suspicious. Item number 2. As I mentioned, no one has been charged in connection with the death of Celeste.
Well, that's
Now,
Dentity
surprisingly,
obviously did it.
Some people have wondered if it's possible that David Burke could have somehow been involved. The police are trying to determine if David and Celeste
I guess
had
it could
any
be a
type of connection
possibility.
to each other. As it turns out, there is some evidence establishing a connection between David and Celeste. Here are a few examples. Her mother told the media that Celeste once had a boyfriend named David.
Oh
This, of
man,
course,
I
is a
wonder
pretty
what
common
David
name
that
and doesn't
was.
necessarily refer to David
Was
Burke.
Dave Sr.
Celeste had a tattoo on her right index finger that read SHHH. David had a similar tattoo on his right index finger. David appeared in photographs with a person who looks a lot like Celeste. A former teacher at the high school Celeste attended said that Celeste met David Burke on social media. In one of David's demo songs, there are lyrics that refer to the name.
So, we're blaming TikTok, right? How many songs did you remove your playlist after the news broke out? I had to dump the whole fucking album, bro. Of course, David still had some underage girlfriend. She's not. Wait, underage? What? I saw like last week the FBI was saying David, or however it was spelled, probably didn't do it. It was a racist white person.
Named Celeste.
Redemption.
The lyrics read,
This still means he dated an underage girl, though, allegedly.
"Oh Celeste, the girl with my name tattooed on her chest. Smell her on my clothes like cigarettes. I hear her voice each time I take a breath. I'm obsessed." The severely decomposed body of Celeste was found in the front trunk of a 2023 Tesla Model Y registered to David Burke. Since at least May 2025, this vehicle has been mysteriously moved around the neighborhood where David lived.
Wow, I
And
wonder
at
who could have
times
moved it.
Was parked directly in front of his house. Based on this evidence, it is reasonable to believe that David and Celeste had some type of relationship. Maybe she was a fan, perhaps they were friends, maybe something else was going on.
If David didn't do it, who else had who else could have moved the
other.
Tesla? Like, okay, who how many people have access to the Tesla is what I'm saying.
Item number 3. The Tesla Model Y that contained the body of Celeste is mysterious. It was conspicuous to people who lived in the neighborhood where it had been parked. They noticed it had a large dent in it, and of course, it had a
It was a highly concentrated liberal area. Why would there be a Tesla there? Get it? That's why it was so conspicuous.
Texas license plate. The vehicle had not been reported stolen. Not long before it was towed, the vehicle was moved on the street near David's residence. Considering the body in the front trunk was severely decomposed and the smell was powerful when detected by the towing company employees, it stands to reason that when the vehicle was last moved, the driver should have detected the odor of decomposition. The smell may not have been as strong as it was after the vehicle was towed, but it must have been fairly powerful even back then. Whoever moved that car must have known something was going on. Maybe they didn't know there was a body in the front trunk, but a typical reaction would have been to investigate or report it. The vehicle was moved multiple times over the last few months before it was picked up by the towing company. This supports
That's going to be the real
idea
twist here,
that
huh?
The driver was trying to avoid the vehicle being towed. They didn't want it to be sitting on a public street for over 72 hours. They must have slipped up because the car was eventually towed. Item number 4. I imagine the police will try to figure out exactly where David Burke was during the time the Tesla was being moved around near the rented house where he lived. It sounds like he was on tour, therefore he wasn't in the rented house in the Hollywood Hills. However, his Withered World Tour did not start until August 2025. Again, the neighbors said the vehicle had been parked in various places in the neighborhood since at least May 2025. Item number 5. There are many unanswered questions in this case. Here are just a few examples. Was David around when the Tesla Model Y started mysteriously rotating
My
through the
question
parking
is,
spots.
how is it
in the
any
neighborhood
question?
of the
Let
rented house.
literally anybody else did
Was
it.
the
It's
body of
obviously
Celeste
him.
in the vehicle before David went on tour in August? Did David stop at the rented house between his shows, or was he away the entire time after August? Did anyone else live in the rented house? Did David have employees who would have been responsible for his vehicle? When was the last time David was in that Tesla? Where are the keys? Were they found in the rented house? Were they in David's pocket? Are they missing? Did video surveillance from houses in the neighborhood capture who moved the vehicle? Did the Sentry mode system in the Tesla capture anything useful on the external cameras? Was DNA recovered from the body, the plastic bag, anywhere in the vehicle or inside the rented house? Has David offered any explanation as to what happened in this case? Did he have some type of relationship with Celeste? When did he last see her? When was the last time he contacted her? Where did he think she was this whole time? Did it seem strange to him that she was missing? If the police can answer even some of these questions, there's a good chance this case will be solved. Item number 6. Was David Burke involved in the death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez?
Yes!
In my opinion, there
Yes!
is no way to know the answer to that question based on the available evidence, but several factors do appear to work against David. For example, canceling the tour looks really suspicious. It leads me to believe that there is no innocent explanation for what happened here. The evidence connecting David to Celeste is difficult to explain without some type of wrongdoing being involved. And some of the imagery David uses in his act may lead people to believe he has a dark side. For instance, David sometimes plays a character who has a uniform that includes a shirt covered in bloody handprints. Whether
I'm the
David
nicest
was
guy
involved
you'll
or
ever
not,
meet, but I'm
I
also
think he is in a
sick
lot
and
of trouble
twisted.
as far as his career. This is one convoluted fall from grace story. David seemed to be doing very well before this incident, although his success was always a bit of a mystery for a few reasons. He is boring,
He hates rap
overrated,
music.
unoriginal, and does not have a good voice. His songs are lazy and underproduced. And the
Damn,
lyrics
he's
are
cooking
basic,
'em.
stale, and lifeless. Like so many young people who stumble upon undeserved success, David may not have
Undeserved?
been able to handle it. It's not necessarily all bad news for David. Even if he loses his fortune, that would not be as bad as going to jail, or as David calls it, J4L. Those are my thoughts in the case of David Burke. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you soon.
Aw, Doc, you didn't have to do that to him. Laguna's saying he's been cleared of all wrongdoing. David actually did nothing wrong, and he won't in fact be going to J4L. We're gonna have to OJ this shit. We're gonna find out who really put the lady in the frunk. This guy sounds like AI. Well, I mean, he's talking to us. He's on camera. He can't be AI, you guys. But as I was saying, he's very a very template style channel. All of his videos are exactly like that. Just anywhere between 10 to 20 minutes. He describes a case, goes into it. I would say it doesn't go all the way to like a dreading level analysis where the videos are like hours and hours long with interview footage and interrogation footage going like all through the background, kind of like a cursory view of the footage, cursory view of the case alongside his own opinion. I think it's all right for bite-sized true crime content, but that was Dr. Todd Grande, yes. Boone says, I actually have question heavily the FBI's competency. Well, now the question becomes, I didn't even know about this guy until he got fucking felted. Would he really be so big that someone would want to frame him by killing someone that is close to him? It's just so ridiculous. It's just easier. Sometimes it's Occam's razor. Like, he obviously did it. She's the gal pal. He's the one. Yes, I'm gonna kill his girlfriend, then frame it on him, and everyone will think that he did it because he has schizo songs with murderous lyrics and also LARPs as an anime shonen character on YouTube. Or something. This guy, they showed, he had like an OC or something. The David Burger King meal is still coming back? I don't think... I don't think anyone will want to collab with them in the near, immediate, and far-flung future. Shame about the Crocs collab, though. right, 79%. I still got a lot of missions I gotta do. I mean, to me, he did it, lol. That's what my gut says, but apparently the FBI thinks there's more to it. Well, maybe there is more to the case that we just don't know. It's very common for the authorities to withhold evidence, you know, to not divulge all the evidence to the public, because it could be a scenario where they have something that only the killer would know, so they don't want the rest of the public to know about it, so they won't divulge everything. The Delphi murders were a lot like that. Delphi, Indiana, the girls walking on the bridge, the guy on the bridge. They had information in that case that they were deliberately withholding because it's info that only the killer would know. And then they found the killer eventually. It was a guy who was literally there the whole time, who was already interviewed. But due to human error, his testimony was discarded in the believable, realistic, true, and honest pile, and not correctly categorized in the sussy file. The sussy pile. His file in the sussy pile. Guy filmed himself with her during the time in which she was reported missing. He blew up early in his life, got a bunch of money, and made up many songs basically detailing his desire to kill. Yeah, it's like, are we really not gonna call the spade a spade if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck and talks like a duck and is felted like a duck? Everything connects. The dots are connecting here. If he didn't do it, this would be a twist of the century. M. Night Shyamalan ding dong twist over here. Like, I'm gonna frame him. Like, you would have to really hate this guy, but you would have to hate him for a long time because he kind of blew up out of nowhere. So you would have to be following him for a while. You would have to know that he was dating this girl who's allegedly underage, and then would have to separate her from him, and then kill her, and then have access to his Tesla, and then stuff her in the frunk for God knows how long. I was framed, you guys. The FBI also did not find the Kirk's killer, like the crack the case style. The guy's dad just turned him in, so we'll see how the FBI handles the David case. Must be some mastermind shit to kill the girlfriend and frame him like that. You would have to really plot it ahead of time. For this case, I think it's pretty clear to me. Now, we don't have all the facts, don't have all the evidence, but I think he did it. As he's dumb, he's dented. He thinks he's an anime protagonist. Killed her, then stuffed her in the trunk, as detailed in his fucking lyrics. All right, but I think that'll be it for me, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for the short one, the short daytime stream. Sorry about the sore throat. On the good news, on the bright side, we're not caught up with Arlo. We didn't watch any of his Pikmin videos. There's still more Arlo to come. But we're caught up on Synthetic Man, and not caught up on a Frogmire. He's got a Pokemon video that's an hour long that I don't have it in me to get into today. He's so dented, even his Tesla has a dent in it. Well. Alright, but I got a late shift coming up. I will stream again tonight. It'll be, whoa, Dinkus's first full playthrough of Super Mario Galaxy 2. Hopefully my throat clears up by then, but it probably won't. I'm suffering. I'm suffering for you guys. I'm doing it for you. Should be in like 5 hours? No, more like 6 to 7. It's a weird. The schedule is really weird this week. It's because I got something else going on. I'm not gonna explain. I don't have to justify or explain myself, but I gotta get ready. Yeah, let's find someone to raid. Yeah, I'll try to be live again later in the evening, so look around for that. I have never done a full playthrough of Super Mario Galaxy 2, so I'm excited to finally get to do so. You're suffering more? Well, I'm over here suffering for you. Just make a song about it, we'll decipher it later. I'm gonna make a song about about what I do after the stream. Decipher the lyrics. The lyrics are just me talking about masturbating. Alright, there's enough goofing around. Pablo, like, let's fucking get out of here. I got a lot of shit to do. Right?
It's nice to
Thanks for stopping by. Pac-Man suffering continues. I might do another morning stream tomorrow morning, and maybe I'll actually do it in the morning and not do it in the afternoon. Either way, I'm glad thank you everybody. I'm glad everyone was able to show up and make it. Let me know what you think of the daytime streams and if they should continue. I really need your feedback. Thank you, Seru. Yeah, more Pac-Man tomorrow morning. Pac-Man will continue for day streams until it's over, or I get all the costumes and do all the challenges. I gotta do the mazes still. After that, it'll either be Fire Emblem, Blazing Blade, or no, Binding Blade. That's the one I gotta play. Or Luigi Galaxy 1. I think I'm like leaning towards Fire Emblem. I think it was super cool, good to listen. Brain working overtime. Well, I appreciate giving people something to listen to while they're clocked in. I still never tried Fire Emblem Among Us. It's alright. I don't think it's better than Heroes. I thought it was gonna replace Heroes, but I no longer think that. I think it's just gonna kind of be its own thing. It's an excuse for Heroes to sell us the same characters all over again. Thanks for the stream, you're welcome. Tevin is live during the Mario Galaxy 2 restream, but he's on BRB, so you will not actually listen to him. Ludwig and Mark 1 are on, doing their own thing. Who's live that is also doing their own thing? We got Gondola. He's doing Battlefield 6 with Vimes. I've rated Gondola before, but I don't think I rated Vimes. Let us assist this collab of the century by assisting the half of it that I have never rated directly. Otherwise, you can go wherever you want to go. But yeah, I think I'll go over here. I will also read off the stuff. And once again, I apologize for the sore throat. I'm suffering. I'm doing it for you, to get you the content you want and deserve this Halloween season. Infamous KS, thank you for the 30 bits. Herbot, thank you for the follow. Sir Sinestro, thank you for the re-up with the Prime for 6 months. Oh, wait, that was from last night. Alright, we're good. Yeah, these guys, these bozos. I like them, you like them. If you don't like them, you will like them. Follow both Gondola and Vimes when you get over there. You're playing Battlefield 6, giving you the Battlefield 6 content that Phil is now denying you because he wage quit it. Dingy is not beating the femboy lover by rating Vimes? Vimes is detractor coded. That should be the raid message. Bye-bye, adios, and meme time. We'll see you when we see you. And if we didn't see you, then we didn't see you. But if we did see you, then we saw you. And if we didn't see you, hopefully we will see you next time. If I can see myself in the mirror each and every single day, hopefully I can inspire viewers like you, Rue, to see themselves in their mirrors each and every single day. Alright, Gondola will also get a kick out of this raid message. Alright, you can go wherever you want. I gotta go clock in. But please give Gondola and Vimes a follow when you're over there. They know about Phil. We can talk about Phil over there, or you can't. Or you can do whatever you want. But I'm not your babysitter. Bye-bye!